before yesterday's ball game, did not pitch yesterday, but we'll talk to him about joining the Wild Things and what it's been like so far in his short time. Also going to take a look at the playoff race here in the Frontier League as it's winding down to the last 2 weeks of the season. The Wild Things right in the thick of things in this playoff race, so we'll see how that all lays out for them. And finally, going to take a look at the lineups and have the pitching matchup for you. It's all coming up right here on the Washington Wild Things pregame show on the MSA Sports Network. Now, last night, as we said, the Wild Things unfortunately falling to the Schaumburg Boomers by the score of 5-0. Chase Cunningham would start for the Wild Things at a record of 5-8 at back-to-back wins after losing 4 straight starts. So was coming into the night on a very hot streak. He was opposed by Brett Mabry for the Schaumburg Boomers. Now, Chase Cunningham, a very good outing, just got roughed up in the top of inning number 3. Nick Oberg would single to start things off. Then Tobias Moreno and Jordan Dean each added back-to-back singles to load the bases with nobody out. Then Cunningham would get Arrhenius Alazaro to strike out for the first out of the inning before Kenny Towns provided a grand slam, driving in all 3 runners plus himself, and that put Schaumburg out to an early 4-0 lead in yesterday's ball game. Mark Nelson would ground out, and Mike McClellan would hit into a fielder's choice to end the inning. But really after that, Chase Cunningham was on fire all night long, went 8 innings, his longest outing of the year for the Washington Wild Things, collected 1, 2, 3 innings in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Or excuse me, not in the 7th. He had 4th, 5th, and 6th, as at one point he had retired 11 straight Schaumburg Boomers. So Cunningham was on tonight. He ended up going 8 innings in this ball game, gave up 8 hits, 4 runs, all earned on 5 strikeouts, and walked 1 on the day. However, his opposition, Brett Mabry, was just a little bit better than him on the day. He faced 4 men in the first, 4 in the second, faced 4 in the third, faced 4 in the 4th, so he was consistent, facing 4 batters in each of the first 5 innings. First time he faced more than 4 batters was in the 6th when he walked the leadoff man and Jimmy Yezzo would reach on an error. That had runners at first and third with nobody out, so the Wild Things threatened. However, Alvaro Gonzalez and Kyle Pollock each flied out before Ryan Willard struck out to end the threat. Wild Things would then threaten again in inning number 7. Chris Grayson would triple with 2 men out, and that would be all for the reliever in that one, Austin Kerr. Kerr went 2/3 of an inning. That run would not be earned as Derek DeYoung came in and got the final out of that 7th inning. So that was really the only Wild Things threat of the night. Brett Mabry went 6 in this ball game, did not give up a run, walked 6 and struck out 2 on 4 hits throughout the night. Then Austin Kerr and Derek DeYoung combined to pitch a scoreless 7th. Kenneth Knudsen pitched a scoreless 8th, and Evan Boyd gave up no runs in inning number 9. The Wild Things in the bottom of the 9th sent their 7, 8, and 9 hitters to the plate to lead things off. Kyle Pollock would fly out. Ryan Willard would single for his first hit of the game before Austin Wolbrock grounded out and Andrew Heck struck out to end the ball game. The Wild Things would drop to 39 and 41 with the loss. Still currently in second place in the Frontier League East standings behind the Joliet Slammers, and the Schaumburg Boomers sitting at 37 and 45. And as we said, this playoff race coming down towards the end, so each game gets more and more important as your Wild Things trying to make a playoff push and get that final wild card spot. So the Wild Things will look to do that and rebound tonight against Schaumburg. We're going to take our first break here on the MSA Sports Network. When we come back, we're going to have our sit-down with the newest Wild Thing, left-handed reliever Brandon Bixler. It's all coming up right here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network. You're listening to the Washington Wild Things pregame show, getting you ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Currently joined by one of the newest Wild Things, left-hander Brandon Bixler. And Brandon, last night you got your first look at Consol Energy Park and first kind of taste of what a game atmosphere is like. What'd you get from that first start here at Consol Energy?
It was nice. Seeing the field, I didn't know it was all turf coming into it, so that's nice. Nice field here, and haven't been under the lights in a while, probably 4 or 5 months, so it was nice just seeing a game again.
And what did you get last night from seeing Chase Cunningham on the mound against some of these Schaumburg Boomers pitchers? What did you get a sense of the baseball here in the Frontier League?
It looks good. It's good baseball. It's clean. Filled up the zone and did a good job.
And you're joining a very good bullpen this year, ERA just over 3. What was it like getting to know the guys and getting associated with everybody on the team?
They were all cool. Good guys. Christian Powell was my roommate back when we played with the Twins, so it was good to see him again as well.
And what's it like coming onto a team where you already know somebody? How did that help the process at all?
Yes, absolutely. Me and Christian were pretty close with the Twins, so that helps a lot, knowing somebody just coming in already.
Currently joined by reliever Brandon Bixler. And Brandon, Christian Powell on the mound tonight. What did you see from him in your time with both the Minnesota Twins and your short time here at Washington that's going to help him tonight?
He looks good. He looks like he's confident in filling up the zone, and as long as he keeps doing that, then he'll be successful.
And you pitched in the Minnesota Twins organization starting in 2013. What are you going to take from that experience to bring here to the Wild Things whenever you get into your first game action?
Just enjoy it. Don't worry about the pressure. Just be in the moment. Don't think about the future. Just enjoy it.
And final question, what's it like to be jumped in the middle of a playoff race here? You guys are chasing that second wild card spot. What's it like to come into this playoff race as a new guy?
Oh, it's awesome. Playoffs runs are the best because everybody's real into the game and every run matters, so it's a good time.
Thanks, Brandon. Good luck today.
Thank you.
We'll be right back here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Currently listening to the Washington Wild Things pregame show as we get you ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Unfortunately, the Wild Things falling last night to the Schaumburg Boomers by the score of 5-0. They'll look to rebound here in tonight's matchup. The Wild Things in the thick of a playoff race, as we were talking about with Brandon Bixler, currently sit 2.5 games back of the Normal Corn Belters for that final playoff spot. The Evansville Otters hold the first wild card spot with a record of 46-35. Then Normal, that second wild card spot, their record 42-39. Then the Gateway Grizzlies and River City Rascals each ahead of the Wild Things. They're 2 games back. Both sit at 41-42. Then below the Wild Things, you have the Lake Erie Crushers at 38-44. They sit 4.5. And then the Schaumburg Boomers, 37-45, they're 5.5 back. Florence at 37-45, they're 5.5 as well. Windy City, 36-45, they're 6 games back. And then Traverse City rounds out the race. They sit at 35-45, currently 6.5 back of the second wild card spot with the Normal Corn Belters. So really in this last 2 weeks of the season, it's any team's game. If you can make a push and start winning some ball games, you can have some success and get right into this playoff picture and play yourselves into the playoffs here this season. Now, as we take a look at the regular standings here in the Frontier League, your Frontier League East, the Wild Things currently in second place behind the first place Joliet Slammers. Joliet currently holds the number 2 seed in the Frontier League the Frontier League playoffs as they lead the Frontier League East Division. Southern Illinois holds the number 1 seed. They're 54-28. They lead the Frontier League West. But your Wild Things currently 3.5 back of the Joliet Slammers. So Joliet comes to Consol Energy Park next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That'll be a very big series in determining playoff positioning and what the Wild Things can do in terms of making this playoff run. Joliet stands at 43-38. Then your Wild Things at 39-41. Lake Erie at 38-44. They're 5.5 back. Then the Schaumburg Boomers at 37-45. They're 6.5 back. Windy City 36-45. They're 7 back. And Traverse City 35-45. They are 7.5. Wild Things just took 2 out of 3 from the Traverse City Beach Bums. This is the final homestand of the year for your Washington Wild Things in terms of the regular season. So come out, see a couple of games. For tickets, go to www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Don't miss your chance to see your Wild Things live and in action here in the 2016 season as the season winds down. Wild Things trying to make a playoff push as they are being introduced on the field currently. We'll meet them after the break. National anthem about to be played here at Consol Energy Park, so we are going to step aside. When we come back, we will have the lineups and the first pitch for you here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School, lead, don't follow.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get a sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, ready for baseball here in Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Washington Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Wild Things currently on the field now. They align like this defensively. In the outfield, left to right, Andrew Heck, Chris Grayson, and Dave Popkins. Left side of the infield held down by Ricky Rodriguez and Austin Wobrock. Right side by Ryan Willard and Jimmy Yezzo. Behind the plate, Kyle Pollock, and he is catching tonight's starter, Christian Powell. Powell making his first start as a Washington Wild Thing. Has appeared in 2 other games with Washington this year. No record, no ERA in those 2 games. He's thrown 4 innings. He has yet to give up a run as a Wild Thing on 2 hits, has not walked a batter, and has struck out 5 in his time with the Washington Wild Things. So looking to continue his early success with the Wild Things here tonight in his first start. The lineup he'll face for the Schaumburg Boomers looks like this. They'll lead off with their center fielder, Tobias Moreno. Batting second at second base, Jordan Dean. Hitting third in left field are Hennis Aldazaro. Batting fourth at third base, Kenny Towns. Hitting fifth in right field, Mark Nelson. Batting sixth at first base, Mike McClellan. Hitting seventh, the designated hitter, Michael Hill. Batting eighth and catching, James Keller. And batting ninth and playing at shortstop is Nick Oberg. On the mound for the Schaumburg Boomers, Seth Webster. Webster a record of 7-7 and a 3.98 ERA. Getting ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series. Wild Things looking to bounce back here tonight and even up this series with Schaumburg. They enter with a record of 39-41, currently 2.5 out of that second wild card spot. Making his way to the plate to lead things off here in this game for the Schaumburg Boomers is the center fielder, Tobias Moreno. Moreno so far hitting .308 with no home runs and 1 RBI. A gorgeous day for baseball here at Consol Energy Park under blue skies, a couple of clouds in the area, but other than that, looking to shape up as a great night for baseball. And in front of a very good crowd here at Consol Energy Park, about 3/4 of the way full, as the Wild Things take on the Schaumburg Boomers. Tobias Moreno stepping in, lefty on righty matchup to start the game as he faces Christian Powell. Powell in his first 2 appearances for the Wild Things likes to throw the fastball, get that fastball up to the low to mid-90s. Has been doing a very nice job through his first 2 appearances, just giving up 2 hits in those 2 appearances. Powell has his sign, the pitch, and that first pitch is just inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. First pitch tonight thrown at 7:06 p.m. Eastern Time, and the temperature outside, 80 degrees. First pitch time and temperature brought to you by State Line Grocery and Hotspot. Next pitch, that's right on the outside corner, and it's swung on and missed. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Moreno was out in center field last night for the Boomers, was not on the Boomers roster the last series between these 2 teams. The 1-1, and this one's hit off to the left and foul back in the seats. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Christian Powell in his first start with the Washington Wild Things has made 2 appearances out of the bullpen, but getting that chance on the mound tonight. Pitched to the Minnesota Twins and Houston Astros organization prior to the Wild Things. The 1-2, and this one lined right at the shortstop, Austin Wolbrock. He makes the catch, and that's out number 1. So 1 up, 1 down for Christian Powell. Pretty good start, as that'll bring to the plate the second baseman, Jordan Dean. Dean so far in the year hitting .257 with 3 home runs and 31 RBIs. 1 man out top of the first, no score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Game 2 of this 3-game series here at Consol Energy Park. Christian Powell looking in, has his side. Here's the pitch, and that one's up and in for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Your Washington Wild Things tonight in a pink and white camo uniform supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Night. Here's the 1-0, and that one's low and outside. Skips past Pollock to the backstop, and the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. For Christian Powell, in his Wild Things career, he has struck out 5 in 4 innings of work and has yet to walk a batter, so his control has been very good through those first 2 outings. Powell has his sign. He's set in the 2-0. And that one hitting the outside corner this time. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. And if you're Christian Powell, you want to come out here and be efficient in this first inning. Hopefully you can give your Wild Things a very good outing here tonight. Powell has his sign, the 2-1. And this ball popped up to the right side in foul territory, but it'll hook into the seats and land foul, so the count will even up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 1 man out top of the first. The Schaumburg Boomers in their black alternate jerseys with orange lettering and their gray road pants. This is the final homestand of the regular season for the Washington Wild Things. Powell has his sign, the 2-2. And this ball popped foul back into the seats. So the count will remain 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jordan Dean staying alive here in this second spot, making Powell work. 6th pitch of the at-bat coming up for Christian Powell. Jordan Dean, an all-star for the Schaumburg Boomers earlier this season. Powell has his sign, the 2-2. And Dean takes a call. It's strike 3 at the letters. Christian Powell's first strikeout of the night. And there are 2 up, 2 down here in the first. That'll bring to the plate the left fielder, Argenis Aldazaro. Aldazaro so far in the year hitting .217, no home runs, and 4 RBIs. 2 men out here on the top of the first. Christian Powell retiring the first 2 men he's faced here in this ball game. There are 2 men out. Powell looks into Kyle Pollock going through the signs. Has one. Here's the pitch. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Umpires for tonight's game. Behind home plate, Mark Schmidt. And on the bases is Andy Dodonis. Powell has his sign, the 1-0. And this ball hit towards right field. Dave Popkins running over, and he's not going to get it. It'll bounce off the wall. Aldazaro around first, heading to second. Here comes the throw from Popkins. It's cut off by Willard, so Aldazaro will get in there with a 2-out double. First hit of the day for the Schaumburg Boomers. They'll have a runner in scoring position with 2 outs, and that brings to the plate the third baseman, Kenny Towns. Towns so far on the year hitting .298, 3 home runs, and 14 RBIs. Towns over there at third base, hitting in that number 4 spot. The last time we saw the Boomers, we saw Paul Kroenfeld in that spot, but Kroenfeld not in the lineup here tonight for Schaumburg. Christian Powell looking in, going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's taken up high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Runner at second. 2 men out for the Boomers here in the top of the first. No score between your Wild Things and Schaumburg as Christian Powell trying to get a clean first inning in his first start for the Wild Things. Powell looking in, going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. For the Schaumburg Boomers, coaching on the base pass at third base is the manager, Jamie Bennett. And over at first base, they keep transitioning different players there over the course of the game. So we'll see a number of different first base coaches for the Schaumburg Boomers. They have a runner at second with 2 men out as Tobias Moreno lined out to start things, and Dean struck out, and Argenis Aldazaro doubled with 2 outs, just out of the reach of right fielder David Popkins. Christian Powell looking into Pollock, has his sign, he's set. Checks Aldazaro at second, the 2-0. And this ball lined into right field. Dave Popkins not having to move very far, backpedals a couple of steps, and he'll make the catch, and that's out number 3. No runs in the inning for the Boomers on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After half an inning of play, the score. The Schaumburg Boomers nothing, your Washington Wild Things coming to bat. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the first, and the score. The Schaumburg Boomers nothing, your Washington Wild Things coming to bat. The Schaumburg Boomers a line like this defensively in the outfield left to right are Argenis Aldazaro, Tobias Moreno, and Mark Nelson. Left side of the infield held down by Kenny Towns and Nick Oberg. Right side by Jordan Dean and Mike McClellan. Behind the plate, James Keller. Catching tonight's starter, Seth Webster. Webster so far on the year, record of 7-7, a 3.97 ERA, appearing in his 18th game, making his 18th start. Has thrown 108 and 2/3 innings, giving up 52 runs, 48 of those earned, on 123 hits, 89 strikeouts, and 14 walks on the season for Webster. The lineup he'll face for your Washington Wild Things looks like this. Leading off and playing in left field, Andrew Heck. Batting second in center field, Chris Grayson. Batting third at third base, Ricky Rodriguez. Hitting fourth, right fielder Dave Popkins. Batting fifth at first base, Jimmy Yezzo. In the sixth spot and catching, Kyle Pollock. Batting seventh, designated hitter Justin Garcia. Batting eighth at second base, Ryan Willard. And hitting ninth and playing at shortstop is Austin Wolbrock. On the mound, as you saw, right-hander Christian Powell. Powell has a record of 0-0 with a 0.00 ERA, making his first start as a Washington Wild Thing here in this ball game tonight. Andrew Heck leads things off for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the first against Seth Webster. Heck on the year is hitting .274, no home runs, and 15 RBIs. Bottom of the first, no score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Game 2 of a 3-game series here at Consol Energy Park. Heck stepping in, has been in that leadoff position for over a month and a half for the Wild Things and has really excelled at that position for Washington. So he'll step in now against Seth Webster, righty-on-righty matchup to begin the Wild Things half of the first inning. Seth Webster looking into his catcher Keller, going through the signs. Has one he likes. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Heck takes this one just low for a ball. Count goes to 1 no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Wild Things leadoff hitter out in left field. The Wild Things trying to get some offense going tonight. Did not score against last night's starter Brett Mabry or the bullpen for Schaumburg. Here's Webster's 1-0. And Heck takes this one outside for a ball. Count now swelling to 2 balls and no strikes. Seth Webster falling behind the first man he faces here in this ball game. On the season for Webster, 14 walks in 108 2/3 innings. So not a guy who's going to walk a lot of batters. Has 89 strikeouts, so striking out people at a decent clip to start the season. Webster's 2-0. And Heck lining this one right at the shortstop. Made the catch there is Nick Oberg. And that's out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the first. And that brings to the plate the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far in the year hitting .294, 2 home runs, and 14 RBIs. 1 man out, bottom of the first. No score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Coaching on the base paths for the Wild Things. At first base is manager Greg Langben. Or third base, Greg Langben. And over at first base is assistant coach Tim Provenzano. Stepping in is Chris Grayson. 1 man out here in the bottom of the first. Seth Webster looking in. Webster going through the signs. Has one he likes. He's set. Here's the offering. And Grayson takes this one high for a ball. Count goes to 1 and no strikes. Seth Webster comes kind of a slow wind-up for him and then goes from the sidearm. So the Wild Things getting a unique angle on the pitches here tonight. Webster has his sign as he holds at the belt. Here's the 1-0. And Grayson will take this one just off the inside corner of the plate, and the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. So Webster falling behind each of the first 2 batters he's faced here in this ball game. He's given up 123 hits in 108 2/3 innings of work. So the Wild Things have to take their hits and then improve with runners in scoring position. It's been an area they've struggled in all year long. Grayson grounds this one to the right past the first base coaching box. That'll go foul, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 here on Chris Grayson. Grayson in that second spot for the Washington Wild Things. He's made a living there for the Wild Things after his first week of the season. First week he was down in the number 3 hole, but ever since him and Rodriguez have switched, the swap seems to be working out for Chris Grayson. Here's the 2-1 from Webster, and this ball popped up. Shallow center field. Tobias Moreno calling everyone off, and he'll make the catch. That's good for out number 2, 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things here in the first, and that brings to the plate the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far on the year for the Wild Things, hitting .286, 5 home runs, and 26 RBIs. 2 men out here in the bottom of the first. No score between your Washington Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Game 2 of this 3-game series here at Consol Energy Park. Boomers taking the win last night. Webster looking into his catcher. Keller has his sign. Here's the pitch. And this ball lined on the left field line, but foul as it hits Schaumburg's bullpen, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. Bullpens here at Consol Energy Park are in play, as they are in most places around the Frontier League. You usually see those bullpens out in foul territory, so you got to watch out. If you're a pitcher for either team, keep an eye on the ball at all times. Here's Webster's 0-1. And this one softly rolled to the left side. Kenny Towns will field it, but this is in foul territory, and the count swells to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on Ricky Rodriguez. 2 men out, bottom of the first. No score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Ricky Rodriguez grabbing his bat back. One of 4 All-Stars for the Washington Wild Things this season. 2 of those All-Stars signed by Major League clubs, as Trevor Foss and Zach Groats each had their contracts purchased. Foss by the Indians and Groats by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Then Ricky Rodriguez and Dave Popkins, the other 2. The 0-2. This one hit deep to left. Argenis Alvarado back, and this ball exits stage left. A solo home run for Ricky Rodriguez, and the Wild Things take the lead here in the bottom of the first. It is 1-0. Rodriguez, 6th home run of the year, and when you need an attorney to hit one out of the park for you, yo, Keith. That home run brought to you by Keith Owen Campbell, attorney at law. Wild Things take the lead early on in this ballgame. It's 1-0 Washington over the Schaumburg Boomers. That brings to the plate the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins so far on the year for the Wild Things is hitting .286, 13 home runs, and 43 RBIs. Rodriguez's 6th bomb of the year. Here's the pitch from Webster. And Popkins takes this one outside. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count. Ricky Rodriguez providing flash offense for the Wild Things. After they did not score last night, they score right away here in the bottom of the first, and that's really what you wanted coming to last night's game. Not playing well offensively, then coming out here and providing a spark right away. The 1-0 and a swing and a miss by Popkins, and the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 here on the Wild Things right fielder. Popkins has only missed 1 game this season for the Wild Things. Needed an off day and got one back on June the 12th. He has played every other game during the course of the year. Webster has his sign. Here's the 1-1. And Popkins takes this one just below the knees for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. Seth Webster giving up a run here in the bottom of the first on that solo home run by Ricky Rodriguez. But other than that, it's been pretty efficient here in this ball game. 3 pitches to Andrew Heck, 4 to Grayson, and then a 3-pitch at-bat to Rodriguez before he provided the home run. The 2-1, and this ball fouled back beyond the screen. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 here on Dave Popkins. 2 men out in this bottom of the first inning. 1-0 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Seth Webster giving up a run here in the first inning, trying to clean it up. Webster looking in, going through the signs, has one he likes. He's set in the 2-2. And Popkins hitting this one to right field. Coming on and not making the catch is Mark Nelson. So that'll be a 2-out single for Dave Popkins. He reaches here against Seth Webster with 2 men out. And that brings to the plate the first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far on the year for the Wild Things hitting .224, 11 home runs, and 33 RBIs. Those 11 home runs good for 2nd on the team behind Dave Popkins, who currently stands at first base. 33 RBIs is also good for 2nd behind Dave Popkins as well. Popkins at first base has 5 steals this season, currently good for third on the team. Webster has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. And Yezo, ground ball to short. Nick Oberg will handle it. Goes the short way to second, and that's in time for out number 3. However, the Wild Things get a run in the inning on the solo home run by Ricky Rodriguez. 2 hits in total, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 1 inning of play, the score, Wild Things 1, the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the second, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing, as the Wild Things getting the solo home run from Ricky Rodriguez in that bottom of the first inning to take the lead. Last inning for the Schaumburg Boomers against Christian Powell. Tobias Moreno would line out. Jordan Dean struck out before Henny Saldazaro doubled with 2 men away, and Kenny Towns would fly out to end the inning. Due up here in the second, Mark Nelson, Mike McClellan, and Michael Hill, 5, 6, and 7 against Christian Powell. Powell pretty good in that first inning. Just allowed that 1 hit, the double by Argeni Saldazaro. Did not have many long at-bats in total through 15 pitches in the inning against the Schaumburg Boomers, and that's really the consistency you want to see for Christian Powell on the mound. His first start as the Washington Wild Thing. You want to see longevity here today, so you want to see him give you at least 6 innings before turning it over to that very good Washington Wild Things bullpen. Stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the second is the right fielder, Mark Nelson. Nelson so far in the year for the Schaumburg Boomers is hitting .283 with 2 home runs and 27 RBIs. Here's Powell's pitch, and that one's in there at the letters for a strike. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on Mark Nelson. Nelson we've seen at an array of positions for the Schaumburg Boomers this season. He's played third, left, and right when facing the Wild Things. This one hit the left center field. Heck and Grayson giving chase, and this one a slide by Heck, and he comes up with the ball. What a catch there by Andrew Heck in the left center field corner with his back to home plate, running in a full sprint, and goes into the slides, able to make the catch just prior to the track for out number 1. A great play there by Andrew Heck, and it's 1 up, 1 down for the Boomers in this top of the second. That brings the first baseman Mike McClellan to the plate. McClellan so far in the year hitting .323, 1 home run, and 5 RBIs. Here's Powell's pitch, and this one hit foul back in the stands. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Last inning we saw Powell falling behind a couple of the first batters he faced, but right now it looks like he has his confidence as he's pounding his strike zone, and he has an early lead. Here's the 0-1, and a check swing there. Did he go around? No, says Andy Dodonis on the bases, and the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on the right-handed hitting first baseman for the Schaumburg Boomers. Mike McClellan's first appearance against the Wild Things. Here's the 1-1, and McClellan pops this one up to right. Dave Popkins going back on it now. He's on the track, and he'll make the catch, and that's good for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Boomers here in this second inning, and that'll bring on the designated hitter, Michael Hill. Hill so far on the year hitting .206, 1 home run, and 21 RBIs. 2 men out here in the top of the second. 1-0 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers on the solo home run by Ricky Rodriguez. Christian Powell trying to get a 1-2-3 second inning here and get the Wild Things back to the bat racks. Here's the pitch, and that one's just high for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Michael Hill in there as the DH for the Boomers. Also seen him at first base against the Wild Things here this season. That's his natural position. Here's the 1-0, and Hill takes this one outside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count. Righty on lefty matchup. Christian Powell trying to get through a scoreless second inning. Has his sign. Here's the 2-0. And that one hitting the outside corner this time. The count goes now to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 here on Michael Hill with 2 men out in this top of the second inning. 1-0 Wild Things lead. Powell's 2-1 offering. And this ball popped foul back into the seats. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. As we said, not Powell's first appearance as a Wild Thing, but his first start. He made 2 other appearances for Washington this year through 2 perfect innings against the Windy City Thunderbolts. So the first the first game of that road trip, and then came out for 2 more innings back while we were playing Traverse City. Gave up 2 hits in that outing, but still did not allow a run. This one fouled off to the right, handled by the first base coach, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 here on Michael Hill. 2 men out in this top of the second. Powell has his sign, the 2-2. And this one lined to the shortstop, Wobrock. He'll make the catch, and that's in time for out number 3. 1-2-3 go the Boomers here in the second, and after an inning and a half here at Consol Energy Park, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the second, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Wild Things getting their first run in that bottom of the first inning. Andrew Heck lined out to start things, then Chris Grayson would fly out before Ricky Rodriguez hit a solo home run, his 6th home run of the year, as the Wild Things took the 1-0 lead. Next batter, Dave Popkins would single with 2 men out before Jimmy Yezzo hit into a fielder's choice to end the inning. Due up here in the second for the Wild Things, the 6, 7, 8 hitters, Kyle Pollock, Justin Garcia, and Ryan Willard facing off against Seth Webster. For Webster, not a bad first inning. Did give up that one mistake pitch on the home run to Ricky Rodriguez, but kept his pitch count low as he threw 16 pitches in that first inning to the Wild Things. He'll look to rebound here in inning number 2. Tomorrow, game 3 of this 3-game series. You can hear it at 5:05 right here on the MSA Sports Network. I'll be back with you. And it's a Kids Day here at Consol Energy Park. Second to last Kids Day of the year for the regular season. So be sure to come out with the family and enjoy a nice day of baseball. 5:05 first pitch. The Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers squaring off in Game 3 of the 3-game series. For tickets, go to www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Making his way to the plate to lead things off here in the bottom of the second is the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far in the year hitting .252, 2 home runs, and 12 RBIs. Stepping in to lead things off against Seth Webster, the big right-hander on the hill. As we said, throws from the sidearm angle and works rather slow on the hill. So the Wild Things have to be patient at the plate and handle the new look. Here's the pitch, and Pollock takes this one for a strike on the outside corner. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things catcher. He got a day off on Thursday night, against Traverse City, as Steve Solkowski caught that final game. Here's the 0-1. And Pollock takes this one for a strike as well. Count swells to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 on the Wild Things catcher. Webster faced 5 in that first inning. Gave up 2 hits. As we talked about in the pregame show, Webster, a guy who's going to give up his hits on the season. 123 in 108 2/3. You just got to take advantage of your opportunities when they're presented to you. The 0-2, and that one's inside. Pollock having to jump out of the way, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out here in the bottom of the second. 1-0 Wild Things lead. Webster looking into James Keller, has his sign. Here's the 1-2. And Pollock following this one off to the right past the first base coaching box, and Tim Provenzano over there for the Wild Things. The count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 here on Kyle Pollock. Nobody out. Leadoff man here in the bottom of the second as the Wild Things look to add to their 1-0 lead. Seth Webster looking in. Webster has his sign. He's set, and the 1-2. This ball grounded to the left side. Kenny Towns handles on a hop, throws on to first, and a nice pick over there by Mike McClellan, and that's in time to retire Kyle Pollock. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the second, and that'll bring to the plate the designated hitter, Justin Garcia. Garcia so far in the year hitting .158, 1 home run, and 2 RBIs. Hit that home run back in Traverse City. That was in Game 2 of that 3-game series. Just edged it over the right field wall. It was the only offense the Wild Things could gather on the day, however, as they ended up losing that game by a score of 6-1. Webster has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Garcia, ground ball to the right side, past first baseman Mike McClellan, and in foul territory. So the count will go to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Justin Garcia has been primarily a DH for the Wild Things ever since Jimmy Yezzo came back from his ankle injury. Saw him at first base during that injury. He's also spent some time in left field for the Wild Things this season. Seth Webster looks in, has his sign. Here's the 0-1. And a swing and a miss there by Garcia, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. A big hack trying to get that outside corner. Seth Webster went inside to outside so far in this at-bat pitching sequence. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 man out. Seth Webster looking into Keller, going to the signs. Has one he likes. He's set. Here's the 0-2 offering. And a swing and a miss. Justin Garcia strikes out, and that's out number 2. First strikeout of the day for Seth Webster, and that'll bring to the plate the second baseman, Ryan Willard. Willard so far in the year hitting .231, no home runs, and no RBIs out there at second base today for the Wild Things. It's Jamadric Magruder getting a night off, and Grant Fink getting a night off as well. 2 men out, bottom of the second, 1-0 Wild Things lead. Righty Seth Webster looking into his catcher Keller, has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Willard fouls this one back off the glove of Keller, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Ryan Willard started last night's game at second base as well, getting back in there here tonight, getting some more playing time as he was a bench player for the Wild Things, but starting the last 2 games at second base for Washington, getting in the lineup. Here's the 0-1 from Webster. And Willard lines this one down the right field line. It's hooking, and it'll go foul, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count. 2 men out here in this bottom of the second. A run on 2 hits for the Wild Things. No runs on just 1 hit for Schaumburg so far in this ball game. Seth Webster looking into his catcher Keller, going through the signs as Willard gets ready to hit. Webster has one he likes. He's set. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And Willard lining this one down the right field line, and that one hooks just foul. So Willard again staying alive here against Seth Webster. Fourth pitch of the at-bat coming. Willard has fouled off the last 2 pitches. He's almost on it, just a tad late here on Seth Webster's pitches in this at-bat. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Webster on the mound. Looks into Keller, has his sign in the 0-2 pitch. And Willard pops this one up in foul territory. This one hooking back towards the stadium seating here. And that'll go over the seats into the back of the stadium. And the count remains no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 here on Ryan Willard. 2 men out in this bottom of the second inning. 1-0 Wild Things lead. This is the 4th and final meeting between these 2 teams, as Schaumburg took game 1. Here's the 0-2 pitch, and this ball popped up to the right side. Foul territory. McClellan giving chase by the Wild Things bullpen, and he's going to run out of room on that right side as that'll land in the Wild deck just beyond the Wild Things bullpen here at Consol Energy Park. Count remains no balls and 2 strikes. Ryan Willard on Seth Webster's pitches here, but just coming up late in these last 5 foul balls as he's fouled them all off to the right side, just a little bit behind. Going to try to get out in front of a pitch here and hopefully get on base with 2 men away. Wild Things had a runner on with 2 outs last inning as they had the solo homer by Ricky Rodriguez and the 2-out single by Popkins. Webster looking in, has his sign. He's set in the 0-2. And that one's just low for a ball, so good patience there by Ryan Willard, and the count moves to 1 ball and 2 strikes. This has been a very good at-bat for Willard first time around against Seth Webster, getting a chance to see exactly what he has and what he works with on the mound. Webster's 1 ball, 2 strike offering. And Willard lining this one foul back to the screen, staying alive. 9th pitch of the at-bat coming between these 2 is Ryan Willard really making Webster work. This inning started off with a Kyle Pollock ground out, and Justin Garcia would strike out for out number 2 in the inning. And Willard stepping in now. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 men out. 1-0 Wild Things lead. So Webster has his sign. He's set in the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And a swing and a miss, so Webster finally wins the battle as Willard strikes out to end the inning. 1-2-3 go your Wild Things here in the second, and after 2 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the third, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Last inning for the Schaumburg Boomers. They would go 1-2-3 against Christian Powell as Mark Nelson was robbed on a base hit of a very nice sliding catch by Andrew Heck. That was out number 1. Then Mike McClellan flew out to center field, and Michael Hill lined out to end the inning. Due up here in the third, James Keller, Nick Oberg, and Tobias Moreno, 8-9-1, facing off against Christian Powell. Now, Powell's last time out for the Wild Things was in relief, but was back on August 17th against the Traverse City Beach Bums. In that outing, he would go 1 2/3 innings. He would have 2 hits and striking out 1, not allowing a run on the scoreboard. He is yet to allow his first run as a Washington Wild Thing, trying to keep that scoreless inning streak going early on, as through his first 3 2/3 innings of the Wild Thing, he has not given up a run. So looking to keep that scoreless inning streak going here at inning number 3. Stepping to lead off against him is the Boomers catcher, James Keller. Keller so far on the year, hitting .208, 2 home runs, and 15 RBIs. Top of the third, 1-0 Wild Things lead here in this game 2 of a 3-game series. Powell has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And this ball popped up. Foul territory off to the right. Yezo giving chase, so is Ryan Willard, and they'll run out of room on that right side as that lands beyond the Wild Things bullpen. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the catcher for the Schaumburg Boomers. Primary catcher for this team. The backup for James Keller is Jake Cockrum. We won't see him. We could see him possibly tomorrow in Game 3 of this 3-game series. But Keller in there tonight, was in there last night as well. Here's the 0-1. This one grounded to second. Willard will handle it. He'll throw on to first. And a pick in the dirt there by Yezo, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down in the inning for the Schaumburg Boomers, and that'll bring to the plate the shortstop, Nick Oberg. Oberg so far on the year is hitting .225, 1 home run, and 13 RBIs. 1 man out top of the third as Powell retires the first man he faces here in this inning. Righty on righty matchup, Powell versus Nick Oberg, the number 9 hitter in the Boomers order. Powell has his sign. Here's the pitch, and Oberg takes this one for a strike at the knees. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Boomers shortstop. Christian Powell trying to get through another scoreless inning here in the third. He's retired the first man he faced and only took him 2 pitches. Here's the 0-1. And Oberg takes this low for a ball. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on the Schaumburg Boomers shortstop. Was signed just before the last series between these two teams back in late June. Here's the 1-1. And this one low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. It's been a while since the Wild Things have seen some of these teams out here in the Frontier League East, because most of their July has been spent against the Frontier League West. Got all their interleague play done, and now it's just against the East from here on out. The 2-1, and that one's low as well. So the count now going to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 here on Nick Oberg. Christian Powell trying not to pick up his first Wild Things walk here in this one. Has his sign. He's set in the 3-1. And this ball grounded to the left side. Rodriguez handles it. He'll fire onto first, and that's in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Boomers here in the third inning. And then back to the top of the order as that brings up the center fielder, Tobias Moreno. Moreno so far in the day is 0 for 1. And in last night's game, Moreno ended up going 2 for 4, singled twice, stole a base, and struck out twice in the ball game. 2 men out here in this top of the third. 1-0 Wild Things lead as Christian Powell looking for his second straight 1-2-3 inning here in this one. Powell looking into Kyle Pollock, going through the signs, has one he likes. Here's the pitch. And that one's way inside as Moreno having to jump out of the way of that one. And the count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Schaumburg Boomers center fielder, Tobias Moreno. Moreno, as we said, not on the Boomers roster in the last series between these two teams. Here's Powell's 1-0. And a check swing there, but that one's outside as well. And the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 here on Tobias Moreno. Powell fell behind 3-1 to Nick Oberg before getting him to ground out. So looking to come back here in this at-bat. The 2-0. And that one's just low as well. So now the count swells to 3 balls and no strikes. 3-0 the count. Christian Powell pitched in the Minnesota Twins organization before coming to the Wild Things. And in rookie ball this year had walked 2 in 1 2/3 innings. Here's the 3-0. And that one's a called strike hitting the outside corner. That puts the count at 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count. The year prior in 2015, pitched in single A for the Houston Astros, went 3-3 in that year, and walked only 11 in 48 and 2/3 innings. This next pitch fouled off to the right, and the count now goes full with 3 balls and 2 strikes. So Powell, throughout his career, has not walked very many batters. In total, at all levels, he has walked 76 and 169 and 2/3. So very good in that department. Powell has his sign, the 3-2, and that one's outside, ball 4. So he's going to pick up his first Wild Things walk here in this one, as it comes with 2 outs in the top of the 3rd. That'll put a runner at first with 2 men away and brings up the second baseman, Jordan Dean. Dean so far in this one, 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the game. Dean in last night's ball game would go 2 for 4, singled twice, and also flew out twice in the ball game. Kyle Pollock going out to talk to Christian Powell after that walk, just trying to calm him down and let him know he's still good. Just work through this batter and get out of the inning. 2 men out here in the top of the 3rd. 1-0 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Runner at first is Tobias Moreno. Moreno's career with the Boomers hasn't been very long to this point, as Moreno is on first. Powell has his sign, the pitch, and this ball popped up to the right side. That'll hook and go in the seats, foul, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. Kyle Pollock went over to give it a look, but it ended up coming up empty on that one. Moreno playing only his 4th game with the Schaumburg Boomers, has 3 stolen bases on the year over there at first base. So he is a guy that you want to watch out for if you're Christian Powell. Moreno takes his lead over there. Jordan Dean stepping back in. Powell looking to Kyle Pollock. Checks Moreno at first, has his sign, he's set. And the 0-1. This ball grounded towards second. Ryan Willard handles it. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 3. So no runs in the inning for the Boomers, no hits, no errors, and they leave a man after the walk. After 2.5, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 3rd, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Schaumburg Boomers nothing. Last inning for the Wild Things, they would go 1-2-3 against Seth Wester as Kyle Pollock grounded out to lead things off. Then Justin Garcia struck out and Ryan Willard struck out to end the inning. Due up here in the 3rd, Austin Wobrock, Andrew Heck, and Chris Grayson, 9-1-2. Facing off against Seth Webster. Now, Webster's last time out was very good for the Schaumburg Boomers. Won 6 innings, gave up 2 runs, 1 of those earned on 3 hits, did not walk a man, and struck out 6 in his last outing for the Wild Things. He has not been getting much run support lately, however, as the time before that went 6 in the 3rd, gave up 1 earned run, 3 total against the Gateway Grizzlies. Picked up a no decision in that one, lost his last time out, then gave up no runs on July 31st against Southern Illinois, and 2 runs against Gateway on July 26th. The last time he's given up more than 2 earned runs in a ball game is July 15th against the River City Rascals, went 5 1/3, gave up 7 runs, all those runs earned in that contest. So right now, Webster so far just 1 earned run on that solo home run by Ricky Rodriguez. Stepping in to lead things off here in this bottom of the 3rd for the Wild Things is their shortstop, Austin Wobrock. Wobrock so far in the year hitting .216, 1 home run, and 14 RBIs. Facing off against Seth Webster. Webster through these first 2 innings, pretty consistent in terms of pitch count, 16 in the 1st and 17 in the 2nd. Webster looking into James Keller, going through the signs, has one he likes. Here's the pitch. And Wobrock hits this one to center field. Tobias Moreno initially not moving, now goes back on it, and will make the catch a couple of steps in front of the track, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the 3rd, and that brings to the plate the left fielder, Andrew Heck. Heck so far 0 for 1 here in this ball game. Last night for Heck, he would go 1 for 5, singled, also grounded out 3 times, and struck out in the ball game. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things in the bottom of the 3rd. They lead 1-0 over the Schaumburg Boomers here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Heck stepping in. Webster looks into his catcher Keller, has his sign, he's set. Here's the pitch. And Heck takes this one outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Wild Things left fielder. 1 man out in this bottom of the 3rd Andrew Heck in his 4th year with this Wild Things team, starting his career back in 2012. Here's the 1-0. And that one's in there at the knees for a strike, and the count evens up at 1 ball, 1 strike. Last year hit .299 for the Washington Wild Things. Did hit 1 home run in the season and had 16 RBIs. Seth Webster looking into James Keller. Has his sign. He's set. Here's the 1-1. And Heck lining this one foul. That'll hit off the screen, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, 1 man out here in the bottom of the 3rd. 1-0 Wild Things lead, wearing their pink camouflage jerseys in honor of breast cancer awareness. Those jerseys will be auctioned off after the game here tonight, and all the proceeds will go to help cancer treatments. Here's the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch from Webster. And Heck, a ground ball towards the middle. Oberg giving chase, and he can't get it. It's into center field for a base hit. That's a 1-out single for Andrew Heck that puts a runner at first with 1 out for the Wild Things, and that brings to the plate the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far in the day is 0 for 1, flew out in his first at-bat. Last night, Grayson would go 3 for 4, single, double, triple, and also struck out in the ball game. So Grayson doing very well offensively at the plate in a night in which the Wild Things were kind of struggling for offense all night long. Grayson trying to come through here with a runner at first and 1 man out. Seth Webster looking into his catcher, James Keller, going through the signs. Webster checks the runner at first over there. Has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. And Grayson lining this one to right field. That gets down for a base hit. Heck, a wide turnaround second, but the throw is going to keep him right there. So back-to-back 1-out singles for the Wild Things, and that puts runners at first and second with 1 away, and brings to the plate the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far in this game hit a solo home run in his first at-bat, his 6th home run of the year. It's the only offense for the Wild Things up to this point. Last night for Rodriguez, he would go 1 for 4, did single, also struck out twice, and grounded out in the ball game. 1 man out here in the bottom of the 3rd. 1-0 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers, but the Wild Things threatening here in this bottom half of the 3rd as they have runners at first and second, and 1 man out after back-to-back 1-out singles by Andrew Heck and Chris Grayson. So Rodriguez will try to pick up his men. Rodriguez 27 RBIs on the year now following that home run, trying to extend upon that. He's currently 3rd on the team in the RBI category. Webster looking into James Keller, going through the signs. Has one he likes, he's set. Checks Andrew Heck out at second, and the pitch on the way. As he keeps looking out there, still holding at the belt, and now time is called by Rodriguez as he thought Webster taking just a bit too long. Jordan Dean kept bouncing between the second base bag and his normal position, trying to get Andrew Heck off guard. And Webster just staring at him, not doing anything. Webster holds at the belt, checks Heck out there, and the pitch coming to Rodriguez. And that one comes up and in, and it's fouled off the knob of the bat, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. Rodriguez trying to turn out of the way of that one, and the ball came in, but it did hit off the knob instead of his hand, so Rodriguez having to stay in there in the batter's box. No balls and a strike, 1 man out. Webster in a jam here in the bottom of the 3rd as the Wild Things trying to get offense early in this ball game, trying to add on to their 1-0 lead. Webster looks in, has his sign, he's set, checks the runner at second, and the 0-1 offering. And this one swung on a miss by Rodriguez, and a pitch looked up and outside, and the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2, 1 man out here in the bottom of the 3rd. Andrew Heck and Chris Grayson on the base paths, each delivering back-to-back 1-out singles after Austin Wobrock flew out on just 1 pitch to start this inning. Webster looking into James Keller. The tall right-hander has his sign. He's set. Checks Heck at second, and the no-ball 2-strike pitch. And this ball hit the left center field. Tobias Moreno going over, and he's going to make the running catch, and that's in time for out number 2. Hit very hard there by Rodriguez, but unfortunately Moreno shifted a little bit to that left center field gap, so he has time to get over there and make the catch, and that's out number 2. That'll bring to the plate the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins so far on the day, 1 for 1, singled in his first at-bat. Last night for Popkins, he would go 0 for 3 as he grounded out twice, struck out, and walked in the ball game. 2 men out, bottom of the 3rd. 1-0 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. And right now, time called by Webster as he wanted a new baseball from the home plate umpire, Mark Schmidt. 2 men out here in this bottom of the 3rd. Christian Powell so far, 3 scoreless innings, even up just the 1 hit That was back in the first inning, that double to Argeni Salazaro. Other than that, he's been very good on the mound. Right now, Seth Webster in a jam here in the bottom of the third. 2 men out, runners at first and second, as Dave Popkins, leading RBI guy, at the plate. Webster looking in, going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the pitch on the way. Checks second, and here it comes. And Popkins takes this one high and outside for a ball. The count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Want to know the count here on Dave Popkins? 13 homers and 43 RBIs on the season is good for the team lead in both of those categories for Dave Popkins. 2 men out, bottom of the third, trying to come through here with a runner in scoring position. Webster has his sign, he's set. Checks Heck over there at second, and the 1-0. And a swing and a miss there by Popkins. Count evens up now, 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on the Wild Things right fielder. Andrew Heck, the runner at second. Chris Grayson over at third. Each had a 1-out single to get themselves on base after the Austin Wolbrock fly out for the first man out. Then Ricky Rodriguez would fly out for out number 2 in the inning, and Popkins currently at the plate. Webster looks in, has his sign, he's set. Checks Heck at second, and the 1-1. And a swing and a miss by Popkins. Chased one a little bit below the knees there. And the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. Popkins trying to get something to drive. It's what he does in every at-bat. Talking to him earlier in the season. Likes to look for a pitch he can drive, and that's accounted for his high home run numbers over the years. 20 home runs a year ago was also good to lead this Washington Wild Things team. Currently 13 here in 2016. Webster has his sign. He's set. And checks second, and the 1-2 offering on the way. Heck and Grayson take off, and Popkins pops this one up. Foul territory off to the left. James Keller and Kenny Towns giving it a look, but this one will fall foul, and the count will remain 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 on Popkins. Popped that one way up in the air. Both Heck and Grayson took off on the pitch, and it landed behind the Schaumburg Boomers dugout here at Consol Energy Park. Both Heck and Chris Grayson, good stolen base numbers on the year. Grayson at first base leads the team. He has 14 steals on the season. Andrew Heck at second is currently in that 3-way logjam for second on the team with 6 stolen bases. He tied with Austin Wolbrock and Jamadrick Magruder. Webster has his sign. He's set. Checks Heck at second, holds the belt, and the 1-2 offering. And Popkins takes this one high for a ball. Count evens up at 2-2. James Keller having to jump out of the crouch there for the Schaumburg Boomers to make that catch and avoid that one going to the wall. So a nice piece of defensive work behind the plate for Keller. We've seen a lot of good defensive play from catchers this year, especially on the Wild Things. Kyle Pollock, very good behind the plate. Steve Solkowski has not been playing bad either. And Alex McKeon, when he was the backup, played pretty well back there as well. Webster has his sign, checks second, and the 2-2. And a swing and a foul ball, but it's off the glove of James Keller. Keller not able to hold on to that one, so Popkins lives to fight another day. Keller not happy with himself after not being able to contain that foul ball from Popkins, but nonetheless, Popkins able to step back in. 7th pitch of the at-bat coming between these two. The longest at-bat in terms of pitches today for Webster was 9 last inning against Ryan Willard before Willard struck out to end that second inning. Seth Webster looking in to James Keller, the tall right-hander. Webster standing in there at, standing at 6'3". Here's the pitch, and this one swung on and fouled off by Popkins, and the count remains 2-2 for Seth Webster. She'll be standing there at 6'5", 220 from Mobile, Alabama. One of the experienced players on this Schaumburg Boomers roster. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up between these two as Dave Popkins working Seth Webster with 2 men out in this bottom of the third inning. Webster looking into his catcher James Keller, going through the signs as he's concentrating on every pitch. Has one he likes, holds at the belt. Heck and Grayson take their leads. Webster checks Heck out there at second, and the 2-2. And again fouled back by Dave Popkins. This one goes into the seats, and the count remains 2-2. A lot of long at-bats against Seth Webster for the Wild Things here today, with at-bats for over 5 pitches. This is the 4th at-bat that's gone over 5 pitches in this ballgame. Dave Popkins saw 5 his first time up. Ryan Willard saw 9. Kyle Pollock saw 5. And now this is going to be the 9th pitch of this at-bat between Popkins and Seth Webster. So really making Webster work here in the early going. Andrew Heck takes his lead from second. Chris Grayson takes his lead from first. Webster holding at the belt. And the 2-2. And this one taken high and outside for a ball by Popkins. That'll fill the count up now at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2, 2 men out, bottom of the third. 1-0 Wild Things lead. Jimmy Yezzo, the on-deck batter for the Wild Things, if Dave Popkins should reach. Wild Things trying to come through, something they've struggled with all year, runners in scoring position, so trying to fix that here tonight. Seth Webster looking into James Keller, has his sign, he's set. Checks second, and the 3-ball, 2-strike offering. Throw back to second, and Andrew Heck gets back in there. So they tried to catch Heck napping at second base with 3-2 and 2 men out. We'll likely see both of those runners taking off, and they'll get a head start on this next pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Seth Webster looking into James Keller, has his sign, he's set. Holds at the belt, and the 3-2 offering. Both runners take off, and this pitch is high ball 4. A 10-pitch at-bat there for Dave Popkins. Finally walks. A very good at-bat there. That'll load the bases for the Wild Things with 2 men out and brings to the plate the first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far in the day, 0 for 1. Yezzo in last night's game ended up going 0 for 4. Reached on an error, grounded out twice, and flew out in the ball game. And that'll bring out Schaumburg's pitching coach after that 10-pitch at-bat. TJ Nail in his 4th season with the Schaumburg Boomers, coming out to talk to his big righty, Seth Webster. Now, we talked about it today. Webster, not a very fast worker there on the mound, and he's really was worked there by Popkins. A 10-pitch at-bat seemed to rattle him, as with that, before that 10th pitch, he threw back to second to check on Andrew Heck. Not something you want to see from your pitcher in that situation. Just focus on the batter with 2 men out and try to get this last out of the inning. But now the Wild Things have loaded the bases, and Yezzo a big opportunity to help the Wild Things get extension on their lead, as they currently lead 1-0 in the bottom of the third. Yezzo making his way to the plate. As we said, 0 for 1 today. Second on the team with his 33 home runs. Yezzo in his second year as a Washington Wild Thing. Played for the Wild Things at the end of last season. Product of the Washington Nationals organization as well. Played in single A with the Nationals. Actually played with Pirates rookie Chad Kuhl, who's in the rotation right now for Pittsburgh. Seth Webster has his sign, checks Heck at third. Here's the pitch. And Yezzo hits this one to center field. Moreno going over, and he'll make the catch. And that's in time for out number 3. So the Wild Things lead. The base is loaded. They get no runs in the inning on 2 hits, no errors, and 3 left on. After 3 innings of play here at Consol Energy Park, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers 0. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 4th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers 0. Last inning for the Boomers, James Keller grounded out to lead things off, then Nick Oberg would ground out, Tobias Moreno would walk with 2 men out, and Jordan Dean would ground out to end the inning. Due up here in the 4th are Henny Saldazaro, Kenny Towns, and Mark Nelson, 4, 5, and 6. Facing off against Christian Powell. Now, Powell's been around the block in terms of pitching throughout his career. As we said, he spent time in both the Minnesota Twins and Houston Astros organization. He got his start in minor league baseball back in 2012 with the Minnesota Twins, as he was drafted initially in the 47th round in 2009 by the Cleveland Indians of the June amateur draft from Greenwood High School, and then the Minnesota Twins selected him in the 8th round of the 2012 amateur draft. Played at the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. During his time in the minor leagues, played 5 seasons at a record of 10-10, a 5.37 ERA in 166 innings of work, struck out 148 and walked 76. This is his first year in independent baseball so far. No record and no ERA through his first 2 appearances. This is first start tonight. Stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the 4th, the left fielder, Argenis Aldazaro. Aldazaro so far on the night is 1 for 1, doubled in his first at-bat. As Powell has his sign, here's the pitch, and Aldazaro hitting this one to right center field, and that'll get down for his second hit here today. Grayson will cut it off before it gets to the wall, so Aldazaro held to a single, and he'll be on to lead things off here in the top of the 4th. So 1 pitch, and Christian Powell in the stretch here in the 4th. That brings up the third baseman, Kenny Towns. Towns so far 0 for 1. He would fly out his first time out. Towns in last night's game was 1 for 4, but that hit a big one. A grand slam in the 3rd inning. Also flew out twice and grounded out to end the inning. Christian Powell has his sign. He's set, checks first in the pitch. And that one's low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. The first time the leadoff man has reached base here for the Schaumburg Boomers. Their other 2 base runners have come with 2 men out, as Argenis Aldazaro had a double in the first, and then a 2-out walk to Tobias Moreno in the 3rd. Powell has his sign, the 1-0, and that one's outside for a ball as well. Pollock having to come out of the crouch as he blocks that one low in the dirt on the backhand, and the count to 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Runner at first is Argenis Aldazaro after his second hit of the day. Powell checks him over there, has his sign, he's set, and the 2-0 offering. And that one low as well as Powell bounces that one at the plate. And the count now going to 3 balls and no strikes. Powell 1 walk today and has not struck out a batter through 3+ innings of work against Schaumburg here in this one. Had 5 strikeouts in his first 3 2/3 innings as a Wild thing out of the bullpen. Powell has his sign, he's set, and the 3-0 offering. And that one's outside for a ball, ball 4. 4-pitch walk following that leadoff single. And now there's runners at first and second for the Boomers with nobody out in this top of the 4th inning. It brings to the plate the right fielder, Mark Nelson. Nelson so far 0 for 1, was robbed of an extra base hit by Andrew Heck in inning number 2. Heck with his back to the plate, made a sliding catch in the left center field gap. And Nelson had to sit back down, part of a 1-2-3 second for Christian Powell. Currently runners at first and second, nobody out here in the top of the 4th. Mark Nelson last night would go 0 for 4 with 2 groundouts and 2 flyouts in the ball game. Powell has his sign, he's set, checks Aldazaro at second, and the pitch. And this one's on the inside corner for a strike. Powell getting ahead of Mark Nelson here, no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count. Right now, if you're Christian Powell, you'd love a double play ball. You currently have runners at first and second with nobody out. So if you get double play, that would be ideal here, but you'd also take a strikeout or just any old out to get the first out of this inning. Here's Powell's 0-1, and that one's off the outside corner of the plate, just missing by a couple of inches, and the count evens up at 1-1. During that 4-pitch walk to Kenny Towns, none of Powell's pitches missed by a lot, aside for the one that bounced up to the plate. So he's not missing his spots by too much here in this inning, but still just a little bit off, trying to get back on that plate. Powell has his sign, check second, the 1-1. And this ball grounded foul off to the right. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. There is action in the Washington Wild Things bullpen. Is out there warming up right now is lefty Brian O'Keefe. 1 ball, 2 strikes, nobody out. Powell trying to get through this 4th inning. Runners are currently at first and second with nobody out. This is Powell's first start as a Wild Thing. Powell has his sign, the 1-2. And this ball grounded softly to the right side, so the count remains 1-2. Mark Nelson staying on that pitch there, just a little bit early on Powell's pitch. We've seen his fastball hit up into the mid-90s. Out in Windy City was consistently hitting 92, 93 on the night. So he has that power fastball. You don't really see a lot of fastballs here in the Frontier League over 90 miles an hour. So Powell trying to use that to his advantage. Has his sign, the 1-2. And this ball hit down the right field line and deep, but it's hooking and it'll go foul. The count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out. The only offense in this game so far, the solo home run by Ricky Rodriguez back in the bottom of the 1st. It was his 6th home run of the year and got the Wild Things out to the early lead. Powell has his sign, checks the runner at second, and the 1-2. And that one's a called strike 3. Mark Nelson strikes out, and that's out number 1 here in the top of the 4th. Exactly what Christian Powell needed here in this inning as he gets a big out number 1. Runners stay right where they are at first and second. That brings to the plate the first baseman, Mike McClellan. McClellan so far 0 for 1. Flew out in his first at-bat last night for McClellan. Ended up going 1 for 3, flew out twice, and hit a double in the ball game. Christian Powell looking in, has his sign, checks the runner Aldazaro at second to pitch. And that one's in the dirt, blocked by Pollock, so the runners have to stay right where they are. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the first baseman for the Schaumburg Boomers. Runners are at first and second with 1 man out. That one in the dirt there to, Mike McClellan. Runners are at first and second as Argenis Aldazaro at second. He singled to lead things off, and Kenny Towns would follow that single with a walk. Here's the pitch, and this one grounded to the left side past the diving Ricky Rodriguez, a base hit. Aldazaro waves to the plate. Here comes Heck's throw, and it's cut off, so Aldazaro will score without a throw, and the Boomers have tied this game. It's now 1-1 here in the top of the fourth. Ricky Rodriguez doing about all he could on that ground ball, just past his outstretched glove on the left side. Aldazaro scores without a throw. Kenny Towns stops at second, and it's an RBI single for Mike McClellan. 1-1 the score now here in the top of the fourth, and that brings up the designated hitter, Michael Hill. Hill so far on the night is 0 for 1. Hill played last night as well as the DH, and will go 1 for 4 with a single. Also struck out 3 times in the ball game. Powell has his sign. He's set. Checks Towns at second. The pitch. And this one grounded softly to the right side. Yezzo will handle it. No other play besides first, so he'll take it to the bag himself, and that's in time for out number 2. Meanwhile, Kenny Towns moves up to third on the play, and Mike McClellan over to second. So there's runners at second and third with 2 men out, and it brings to the plate the catcher, James Keller. Keller so far 0 for 1 with a ground out in this ball game. Keller was behind the plate last night and went 1 for 4. Struck out 3 times and singled in the ball game. 2 men out here in this top of the fourth. A run in for the Boomers on that RBI single by Mike McClellan. Righty on righty matchup. Powell versus McClellan. Powell has his sign. He's set. And the pitch on the way. And Keller takes this one inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on James Keller. The inning started off with a single by Argenis Aldazaro. Then Kenny Towns would walk before Mark Nelson struck out, and Mike McClellan coming through with the RBI single. Michael Hill would ground out for the second out in the inning. Here's the 1-0, and this ball hit towards center field. Shallow. Ryan Willard going out now towards right center. He'll call everyone off and makes the catch. That's in time for out number 3. However, the Boomers do get a run in the inning on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. After 3.5, the score. Your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get a sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the fourth, and the score. Your Washington Wild Things 1 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. Last inning for the Washington Wild Things against Seth Webster. They would load the bases but would not score as Austin Wobrock flew out to start the inning. Then Andrew Heck and Chris Grayson back-to-back one-out singles before Ricky Rodriguez flew out and Dave Popkins walked. And then Jimmy Yezzo flew out with the bases loaded to end the inning. Due up here in the fourth, Kyle Pollock, Justin Garcia, and Ryan Willard, 6, 7, and 8 against Seth Webster. Now, Webster not working too quickly on the mound, but able to get out of the jam last inning against the Wild Things, holding them off the board, and that proved beneficial for him as his team got him a run in the top half of the fourth on that RBI single by Mike McClellan. So new ball game here at Consol Energy Park. Next Wild Things broadcast here on the MSA Sports Network is tomorrow night, 5:05 first pitch between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers, as it's game 3 of this 3-game series, as the Wild Things trying to tie it up here tonight. Wild Things dropped the first game of this series by the score of 5-0, currently tied at 1 here in this one. Kyle Pollock making his way to the plate to lead things off in the bottom of the fourth. Pollock so far 0 for 1, grounded out in his first at-bat against Seth Webster. Back in the second, was part of a 1-2-3 inning in that inning. So Kyle Pollock at the plate here in the bottom of the fourth. Seth Webster looking in. Webster getting ready on the mound, going through the signs with James Keller. Has one he likes. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Pollock takes this one for a strike at the letters. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 here on the Wild Things catcher, batting from the right side against Seth Webster. Pollock, a product of the Kansas City Royals organization, played in single-A baseball with the Royals a year ago. Here's the 0-1. And Pollock deep to left. Going back on it's Aldazaro to the track. He leaps. And he made the catch. What a catch there by Argenis Aldazaro, robbing Kyle Pollock of extra bases. And that's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 4th. Aldazaro going all the way back to the track, leaping up. Not sure that ball had home run distance, but Aldazaro taking away extra bases from Kyle Pollock. That'll bring to the plate the designated hitter, Justin Garcia. Garcia so far 0 for 1. Struck out in his first at-bat here in this ball game. 1-1 the score here in the bottom of the 4th between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Webster looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Yezzo takes this one high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Justin Garcia. Garcia, the designated hitter for the Wild Things, took over for Jimmy Yezzo at first base while Yezzo was dealing with his ankle injury. Batting from the left side. Webster's 1-0 offering. And Garcia grounds this one off to the right side, past the first base coach, and the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Justin Garcia was signed over the last road trip, signed right before the team went to Windy City. And currently just 1 home run in his career. He's been spending time as a DH with the Wild Things. He also played in the Houston Astros organization prior to joining the Wild Things. Webster has his sign, the 1-1. And a swing and a miss there by Garcia. Chased that one a little bit out of the zone. And the count now going to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Webster has the advantage. 1-2, 1 man out. Seth Webster on the mound for the Schaumburg Boomers. Last time he faced the Wild Things, he picked up a loss in a 5-0 game on July the 9th. Pitched 6 innings in that one, gave up 4 runs on 11 hits. So far, just 1 run on 3 hits here, or 1 on 4 hits here tonight. The pitch, and that one way inside. Garcia having to jump out of the way of it, and the count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count here on Justin Garcia. With 1 man out in this bottom of the 4th inning at Consol Energy Park. Beautiful night for baseball. Not too hot, not too cold. Have a couple of clouds in the area. The 2-2 and a swing and a miss. Garcia strikes out, and that's in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things here in the 4th, and that brings to the plate the second baseman, Ryan Willard. Willard so far 0 for 1 here in this ball game. Willard last night for the Wild Things would go 1 for 4, single, grounded out, and struck out twice in the ball game. 2 men out, bottom of the 4th. 1-1 the score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers here at Consol Energy Park. Seth Webster looking into James Keller, has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And Willard will foul this first pitch off. Count goes to no balls and a strike. Fouled right back to the screen as he chased one low and inside from Seth Webster. No balls and a strike. 2 men out. Bottom of the 4th, Ryan Willard starting his 2nd straight game for the Wild Things. Started out at second base last night as well in the first game of this 3-game series. Seth Webster looking in to James Keller, going through the signs. Webster has one he likes. He's set. Here's the 0-1. And Willard takes this one low for a ball. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Ryan Willard played for North Carolina State University before joining the Washington Wild Things earlier this year. Was signed in the early part of July as a backup infielder for the Wild Things. Here's the 1-1. And Willard takes this one outside for a ball. Count now swallowing to 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1 here on the Wild Things second baseman. Currently game 2 of this 3-game series between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. A very good crowd on hand tonight, filling up for game 2 of this 3-game series. Final homestand of the regular season for your Washington Wild Things. Webster has his sign. Here's the 2-1. And this ball grounded to the left side. Kenny Towns handles it on a hop. He'll throw to first, and that's in time for out number 3. So 1, 2, 3 go your Wild Things here in the 4th. And after 4 innings of play here at Consol Energy Park, the score, your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose Pro Grass, First in Turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the fifth, and the score. Your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers 1. Last inning, the Boomers getting their first run of this ball game. It started off with a single by Argeni Salazaro. Then Kenny Towns would walk to put runners at first and second with nobody out. Mark Nelson would then strike out before Mike McClellan came through with an RBI single. That drove in Aldazaro and made the score 1-1. Then Michael Hill would ground out, and James Keller popped out to end the inning. Due up here in the top of the fifth, Nick Oberg, Tobias Moreno, and Jordan Dean, 9-1-2, facing off against the new pitcher for the Washington Wild Things, as it's the newest guy on the team, lefty Brandon Bixler. Bixler so far making his first appearance here for the Washington Wild Things. Bixler, a new guy on the team, pitched in the Minnesota Twins organization before joining the Washington Wild Things, was teammates with Christian Powell while they were both in that Twins organization. So Brandon Bixler making his Wild Things debut here tonight for Washington against the Schaumburg Boomers. Christian Powell on the night ends up going only 4 innings in this ball game, giving up just 1 run. It was earned on a total of 3 hits on the night. As I added up, he would walk 2 and struck out 1 in the ball game. So Brandon Bixler making his Washington Wild Things debut here tonight in Game 2 of this 3-game series between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Brandon Bixler signed during the road trip, was here last night for the first game of this 3-game series. Talked about this stadium, really liked it, liked the fact that it was natural turf, and he gets a chance to make his debut for the Wild Things here tonight. So Brandon Bixler in the ball game, a third lefty added to the Wild Things bullpen. Bixler, as we said, pitched in the Minnesota Twins organization earlier in the year. Due up to face him here in this inning, as we said, Nick Oberg, Tobias Moreno, and Jordan Dean, 9-1-2 against Brandon Bixler. Bixler last season, for single A for the Twins, went 1-1 with a 6.30 ERA. Bixler looking in here in his Wild Things debut. Christian Powell only 4 innings on the start here tonight. Bixler has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And this ball grounded towards shortstop. Austin Wobrock will handle it. Throws on to first, and that's in time for out number 1. So 1 pitch, and Brandon Bixler picks up his first out as a Washington Wild Thing, as he looks for a scoreless 5th inning here to keep this ball game tied at 1 with Christian Powell exiting. Powell is no longer eligible to get a win or a loss here in this ball game, so he will keep the no decision, going 4 innings, giving up just 1 run. That brings to the plate the center fielder, Tobias Moreno. Moreno so far in the day, 0 for 1, lined out in the first and walked in inning number 3. Here's the pitch, and that one's in there for a strike. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on Tobias Moreno. Brandon Bixler pounding the strike zone right away. Bixler has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1. And a check swing there by Moreno, but that one just high and out of the zone as the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Brandon Bixler, his first appearance as a Washington Wild Thing, was hometown Oviedo, Florida, age 24. As Bixler has his sign, the 1-1, and that one's in there for a strike. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 here on Tobias Moreno. Bixler standing in at 5'11", 180 pounds. Went to Florida Gulf Coast University. Bixler has his sign, he's set, and the 1-2. And that one low and inside. Pollock having to block that one. Count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count. As Bixler, a third lefty in that bullpen, joins Brian O'Keefe and Devin Davis out there, the other 2 lefties. Bixler has his sign, and the 2-2. And this one grounded softly to the right side. Ryan Willard going to charge. He has it, throws to first, and that's in time for out number 2. So Bixler retires the first too many faces here in this 5th inning, and that'll bring to the plate the second baseman, Jordan Dean. Dean so far 0 for 2, struck out in the first and grounded out in the third against the starter, Christian Powell. 2 men out here in the top of the 5th is Brandon Bixler coming on and pitching very well through his first 2 batters. Dean 0 for 2 on the night, stepping in. 2 men out, 1-1 the score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Bixler has his sign, the pitch, and that one's inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Schaumburg Boomers second baseman. Wild Things trying for a scoreless inning, trying to come back and tie this series. They lost yesterday by a score of 5-0. Breast Cancer Awareness Night here at Consol Energy Park. Wild Things wearing pink and white camouflage jerseys. Bixler has his sign and the 1-0 offering. And this one's in there for a strike, hitting the knees. Count evens up at 1-1. Only played in 6 games in 2015. 2014 won 7-4 in 41 games at ERA at 2.68 in 74 innings of work. Here's the 1-1. And this ball grounded short. Austin Wobrock handles it on a hop. He'll throw on to first, and that's in time for out number 3. So a 1-2-3 inning for Bixler in his debut. And after 4.5, the score. Your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 5th, and the score. Your Washington Wild Things 1, Schaumburg Boomers 1. Last inning for the Wild Things, they would go 1-2-3. Kyle Pollock would fly out, was robbed of an extra base hit on a leaping catch by Argenis Saldazaro out there in left field. Then Justin Garcia struck out, and Ryan Willard grounded out to end the inning. Due up here in the 5th, Austin Wobrock, Andrew Heck, and Chris Grayson, 9-1-2. For the Wild Things against Seth Webster. Webster so far just that 1 run that he allowed back in the first inning on the solo home run by Ricky Rodriguez. It was Rodriguez's 6th home run of the year. Other than that, Wild Things not able to do much against him offensively. Look to change that here in this 5th inning. Stepping to lead things off is the shortstop Austin Wobrock. Wobrock so far 0 for 1 in the ball game. Wobrock in last night's game would go 0 for 4, grounded out 3 times in the ball game, and flew out in his other at-bat. So Wobrock stepping in, nobody out. Bottom of the 5th, score all tied at 1 between your Wild Things and the Boomers. Seth Webster looking in, has his sign. Here's the pitch. And Wobrock jumps out of the way of this one. That one's inside for a ball, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Wild Things shortstop. Righty on lefty matchup. Right-hander Seth Webster facing off against the left-handed hitting Austin Wobrock. Webster has his sign. He's set. Here's the 1-0. And Wobrock lining this one foul back to the screen on the left side, and the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count, nobody out. Austin Wobrock in his second year with the Washington Wild Things was second on the team in terms of RBIs a year ago, had 31 RBIs last season for the Wild Things. Webster has his sign, the 1-1. And Wobrock lining this one down the left field line, and that one hitting foul and going into the Boomers bullpen. And the count now at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Those 31 RBIs for Wobrock a year ago were good for second on the team behind Dave Popkins. Popkins currently leads the team as well this year with 43. This year for Wobrock has 14 RBIs on the season. It's good for 5th behind Grant Fink, Ricky Rodriguez, Jimmy Yezzo, and Dave Popkins. The 1-2 And Wobrock again fouls this one back to the screen, so the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out. Right-hander Seth Webster making the start tonight. 7-7 coming into tonight with an ERA at 3.98. So not pitching bad on the year. Pretty good season for him with Schaumburg. Webster looking in, has his sign, the 1-2. And Wobrock takes this one low and inside for a ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. For Webster, he's the innings leader on this Schaumburg team with 108 2/3 innings of work coming into today. Has also given up the most hits, giving up 123 hits in those 108 2/3 innings. Also striking out 89 on the year. Here's the 2-2, and this one fouled back by Wobrock as well, so the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 the count on the number 9 hitter for the Wild Things. They've gotten a lot of long at-bats against Seth Webster, but those haven't turned into taxing innings for him. The most pitches he threw were 20 back at inning number 3. Other than that, he's been pretty consistent. 16 in the first, 17 in the second, and 11 in the fourth. Here's the 2-2, and this ball fouled back by Wobrock as well, so the 8th pitch of the at-bat between these two coming up here with nobody out in the bottom of the 5th. 1-1 the count on Austin Wobrock. Wobrock's played in all but 4 games at shortstop for the Wild Things. His last off day coming in Game 2 of the doubleheader while we were in Windy City. Ryan Willard took his place at shortstop in that one. Webster looking into James Keller, going through the signs, has one he likes. He's set the pitch. And Wobrock takes this one outside for a ball, so the count fills up at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 here on Austin Wobrock. For Webster on the day, just walked 1. Walked Dave Popkins back in the bottom of the 3rd. That was a 10-pitch at-bat for Popkins. 9th pitch of this at-bat coming up here to Wobrock. Webster looking in, going through the signs. Has one he likes. He's set. Here's the 3-2. And this one fouled off by Wobrock. Back off to the left behind the Boomers' bullpen. And the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. 10th pitch of this at-bat coming up between Webster and Wobrock. The Wild Things seeing a lot from Seth Webster on the mound as they've gotten into deep at-bats. We'll see if that helps them later in the ballgame, seeing what he has on the mound. Seth Webster towing the rubber once again. Standing on the left side of the rubber for a right-handed pitcher. Here's the 3-2. And this ball line foul by Wobrock again, and that again is in the lawn area. So the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. Wobrock and Webster battling here to start this bottom of the 5th inning. 1-1 the score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Righty on lefty matchup. Seth Webster looking into his catcher, James Keller. Webster has his sign. He's set in the 3-2. And Wobrock again will foul this one off past the first base coaching box. 11 pitches in the at-bat now for Austin Wobrock, and this is really taxing if you're the opposing pitcher. You got to throw a lot of pitches to one guy, and it can affect your inning as a whole. Currently 3-2 here on Wobrock. The 12th pitch of the at-bat coming up. Seth Webster towing the rubber. Holds his glove at his letters while he looks for the sign. Has one he likes. He's set. Here's the 3-2. And Wobrock again will foul this one off. So the battle continues, and the more pitches you see as a batter, the more opportunity you're going to get to see something to hit at the plate. So we'll see if Wobrock can keep working this count and try to get something that he can drive to a gap and get something sparked here in this 5th inning. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Seth Webster looking in. Webster has his sign. Here's the 3-2 offering. And this one fouled off by Wobrock. Again, 13 pitches in this at-bat so far between Seth Webster and Austin Wobrock. That's more than he threw last inning combined. Threw only 11 pitches against the Wild Things last inning. The 14th pitch of this at-bat coming between Webster and Austin Wobrock. It's been a battle to start this bottom of the 5th inning. Seth Webster looking in. Webster holds his glove at the letters. Has his sign. He's set. And the 3-2. And Wobrock swings and misses. And that is out number 1. A 14-pitch at-bat for Wobrock, but he ends up striking out for out number 1. That'll bring to the plate the left fielder, Andrew Heck. Heck so far in the day, 1 for 2. Lined out in the first and singled in inning number 3. 1 man out, bottom of the 5th. 1-1 the score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers here at Consol Energy Park. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Game 2 of this 10-game homestand for your Washington Wild Things, playing 10 games in 10 days here at Consol Energy Park, as they have a doubleheader on Tuesday against Traverse City, and then another doubleheader on Friday, part of a makeup game with Joliet. Here's the pitch, and this ball hit the left center field. Argenis Aldazaro on the run, and he's going to make the catch, and that's in time for out number 2. So that second out coming much quicker than that first out for Seth Webster. A one-pitch out for Andrew Heck, and that brings to the plate the center fielder, Chris Grayson. Grayson so far 1 for 2, flew out in the first and singled in inning number 3. 2 men out, bottom of the 5th, 1-1 the score between your Wild Things and the Schaumburg Boomers. Chris Grayson joined the team about a week before the All-Star break and has since taken over that center field spot for Washington after Jamal Austin retired earlier in the season. Seth Webster looking in, currently 2 up, 2 down here in this 5th inning. Webster has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And that one's in there for a strike on Grayson. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 on the Wild Things center fielder. Webster's been forced to throw a lot of pitches in this inning, threw 14 pitches to Austin Wobrock, and then 1 pitch to Andrew Heck. So currently at 16 after the pitch to Grayson. Here's the 0-1, and this ball hit to the right field and deep. Going over is Mark Nelson to the wall, and this one's off the base of the wall. If the throw will come in, and actually it's gone. It just got over the wall as the field umpire, Andy Dodona, says it exits stage right. A solo home run for Chris Grayson, and the Wild Things lead 2-1. Grayson's 3rd home run of the year, and when you need an attorney to hit one out of the park for you, yo, Keith. That home run brought to you by Keith Owen Campbell, attorney at law. That ball just sneaking over the right field wall by Chris Grayson, his 3rd home run of the year, and the Wild Things take a 2-1 lead over the Boomers. That'll bring to the plate the 3rd baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far 1 for 2. He hit a solo home run back in the 1st. So the Wild Things take the lead. 2-1 now they lead over the Boomers here in the bottom of the 5th. Seth Webster looking in. Webster going through the signs. Has one he likes. He's set. And the pitch. And that one's in there for a strike. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Wild Things 3rd baseman, Ricky Rodriguez, an all-star for the Wild Things this year in his first season with the Wild Things. Played for the Amarillo Thunderheads a year ago. Seth Webster looking into James Keller, going through the signs. Webster has one he likes. Here's the 0-1. And a swing and a miss by Rodriguez. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2, 2 men out here in this bottom of the 5th. 2 runs given up by Webster on the day. Both of those runs coming via the solo home run. Rodriguez, a home run in the 1st inning, his 6th of the year. And then Chris Grayson hitting his 3rd home run of the year here in this bottom of the 5th. Here's the 0-2. And this one fouled back towards the Wild Things on deck circle. And the count remains no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 here on Ricky Rodriguez, batting right-handed. Rodriguez, the Los Angeles, California native, as he's in here against Seth Webster. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. A run in on the solo home run by Chris Grayson. Seth Webster has his sign. He's set in the 0-2. And this ball hit towards left center field. Argenis Aldazaro coming on, and he's not going to make the catch. Rodriguez, 2nd hit of the night as he singles now here in the bottom of the 5th. There's a runner at first with 2 men out, and that'll bring to the plate the right fielder, Dave Popkins. Popkins so far 1 for 1, singled in the 1st and walked in inning number 3. James Keller wanted to go out there and talk to his righty, Seth Webster. No action in the Schaumburg Boomers bullpen as of yet. They do have some people warming up their arms, however, out there. No official throwing going on. Just some shoulder rolls preparing if they're needed. Ricky Rodriguez, the runner at first. Rodriguez so far in the season, 2 stolen bases for the Washington Wild Things. Not a guy who's going to take off on a consistent basis. As with 2 outs, Dave Popkins stepping in. Seth Webster checks Rodriguez over there as he takes his lead. He has his sign, holds at the belt, and the pitch on the way. Throw over to first, and Rodriguez once again back in there. So Rodriguez, as we said, 2 stolen bases on the season. Not really a threat to go, but with 2 outs, Seth Webster just wants to make sure. Give him a look over there. Webster looking in, going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And this one's on the outside corner for a strike. Webster getting ahead of Popkins here. No balls and a strike. 0-1 the count of the Wild Things right fielder. Popkins in his 2nd year with the Wild Things led the team with 20 home runs a season ago. Also 46 RBIs last year. Currently has 43 this season, so on pace to pass his total from last year. Another throw over, and again, Rodriguez gets back. Seth Webster making sure Rodriguez doesn't go anywhere. Doesn't want to get another run in the inning. Wild Things lead by 1 here in the bottom of the 5th. They lead 2-1 over the Schaumburg Boomers. Seth Webster looks in, has his sign, and the 0-1. And this one swung on a miss by Popkins, and the count now going to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 a count. A run has come in this inning on the solo home run by Chris Grayson. Grayson just sneaking that one over the right field wall. I actually didn't think it went out at first by the way Mark Nelson was acting, but then that ball went over the wall and saw Grayson doing his trot, so it was his 3rd home run of the season. Rodriguez the runner at first. Seth Webster looking in. Webster has his sign. He's set, and the 0-2 pitch. And Rodriguez will foul this one off, or Popkins will foul this one off, and the count stays at no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count here on the Wild Things right fielder. Bottom of the 5th. 2 men out here at Consol Energy Park. This has been a very long 5th inning for Seth Webster. Had to throw 14 pitches to Austin Wobrock to start this inning. Then 1 pitch to Heck, 2 pitches to Grayson, and 4 to Rodriguez. This will be the 4th pitch to Dave Popkins. Webster has his sign. He's set, and a throw over to first, and Rodriguez gets back. Webster really keeping an eye on Rodriguez over there. Doesn't want him to go anywhere, as that would put a runner in scoring position with 2 men out, trying to keep him right where he is. No balls, 2 strikes. Webster looking into Keller. Has his sign. He's set. Holds at the belt, and the 0-2. And this one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Dave Popkins. 2 men out this bottom of the 5th inning. Popkins out in right field for the Wild Things, as he has been all year. Only missed 1 game out there so far this season. Seth Webster looking in, holds at the belt. Has his sign, he's set, and the 1-2 offering. And this ball popped up by Popkins. Foul territory off to the left. Towns giving chase, but this will land in the seats foul. Popkins staying alive, and the count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Brandon Bixler had a 1-2-3 top of the 5th inning. He's currently in a long layover here in this bottom half of the 5th, as Webster's been on the mound for over 20 minutes now here in this inning. So we'll see if the layoff affects Bixler at all when he comes back out of the Wild Things dugout. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Rodriguez takes his lead from first. Webster looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the 1-2 offering. And Popkins again hits this one foul past the first base coaching box, as Tim Provenzano over there looking at it and watching it roll foul past him to the Wild Things bullpen. Count remains 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dave Popkins, the California native, officially from San Diego, California, in his 2nd year with the Wild Things, standing at 6'3", 225. Seth Webster looking into his catcher, James Keller. Webster going through the signs. Checks Rodriguez at first, has one he likes, he's set, and the 1-2 offering. And Popkins pops this one up. Right field. Jordan Dean running over towards foul territory in the Wild Things bullpen, and he will make the catch, and that will end this bottom of the 5th inning. However, the Wild Things get a run in the inning on the solo home run by Chris Grayson. 2 hits totals, no errors, and 1 man left on base. After 5 innings of play here at Consol Energy Park, your score, the Washington Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 6th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 2 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. Last inning for the Schaumburg Boomers against Brandon Bixler. They would go 1-2-3. Nick Oberg grounded out to start things, and Tobias Moreno would ground out, and Jordan Dean grounded out to end the inning. Due up here in the top of the 6th will be 3, 4, and 5 are Henny Saldazaro, Kenny Towns, and Mark Nelson. against Brandon Bixler. Bixler in his Wild Things debut here tonight. He has thrown one scoreless inning, a 1-2-3 inning, relieving Christian Powell. Powell finished the night only going 4 innings in this one, gave up 1 run. It was earned on 3 hits, walked 2, and struck out 1. Took him 56 pitches to get through 4 innings of work. But right now with the Wild Things scoring in that bottom half of the 5th, Brandon Bixler would be the pitcher of record if the Wild Things could hold on. So Bixler looking for a good outing here in his 2nd inning of relief for the Washington Wild Things. Tomorrow's game, 5:05 first pitch. Game 3 of this 10-game homestand here at Consol Energy Park as the Wild Things season winds down. Last homestand of the regular season. Get your tickets at www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the 6th is the left fielder, Argenis Aldazaro. Aldazaro so far in the day, 2 for 2, doubled in his first at-bat and singled in his second at-bat. Both those at-bats coming against the starter, Christian Powell. Brandon Bixler starting his 2nd inning of relief for the Wild Things here in this one. There is action in the Schaumburg Boomers bullpen as warming up out there is Jake Joyce, the right-hander. Bixler has his sign. Here's the pitch. Aldazaro showing bunt, but he pulls it back in time and takes the ball high. The count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Bixler in for the top of the 6th, pitched in the Twins organization. Bixler has his sign. Here's the 1-0. And this one swung on a miss by Aldazaro, and the count evens up at 1 ball, 1 strike. Talking to Brandon Bixler before the game, was actually teammates with Christian Powell back when they both played in the Minnesota Twins organization, was his roommate during that time. So Bixler very familiar with tonight's starter Christian Powell, said he liked him a lot and saw he had good stuff. The 1-1, and that one swung on a miss by Aldazaro, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Argenis Aldazaro, the left fielder for the Schaumburg Boomers. Brandon Bixler has his sign. Here's the 1-2. And time is called by Aldazaro as he thinks that Bixler taking just a little bit too long. Aldazaro standing in at 6'1", 190 from Barinas, Venezuela. Here's the 1-2. And Aldazaro takes this one high for a ball. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, nobody out here in the top of the 6th. 2-1 Wild Things lead here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Brandon Bixler trying to keep that score right there. And now home plate umpire Mark Schmidt calls time as he wants to go off and dust the tire tracks off of home plate. He has concluded that, and now we'll step back in. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Bixler retiring the first 3 Boomers he faced in the top half of the 5th inning. Bixler has his sign. He's set, and the 2-2 offering. And this one grounded to the right side, but that will go foul, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. We've been seeing this a lot lately from these batters, fighting off a lot of pitches with 2 strikes and making the opposing pitchers of both teams work. We saw it in the bottom half of this 5th inning. Wobrock had 14 pitches thrown to him in his at-bat before finally striking out. Here's the 2-2, and this one grounded to first. Jimmy Yezzo handles it. He'll take it to the bag himself, and that's in time for out number 1. 1 up, 1 down for the Boomers here in the top of the 6th, and that'll bring to the plate the third baseman, Kenny Towns. Towns so far 0 for 1. Flew out in the first and walked in inning number 4. 1 man out, top of the 6th. 2-1. Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers as Brandon Bixler in for his 2nd inning of work here in his first appearance as a Washington Wild Thing. Bixler looking in, going through the signs with Powell. Has one. Here's the pitch. And that one's a called strike at the knees. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the right-handed hitting Kenny Towns. Righty on lefty matchup. Brandon Bixler, the third lefty in the bullpen for the Wild Things. Brian O'Keefe and Devin Davis are the other lefties. Here's the 0-1. And this ball hit up the middle, and that will fall in past Ryan Willard. Willard tried to make a running catch as that one was in shallow center, but he could not. And it's a 1-out single for Kenny Towns. First hit that Brandon Bixler has given up here in this ball game. There's a runner at first with 1 out, and it brings to the plate the right fielder, Mark Nelson. Nelson so far 0 for 2. Flew out in the second and struck out in inning number 4. So Nelson at the plate. Runner at first, 1 man out as Kenny Towns gets the single. Towns' first hit of the day. 1 man out. Brandon Bixler looking to retire Mark Nelson now here in the top of the 6th. Bixler going through the signs with Kyle Pollock. Has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at first, and the pitch on the way. And a check swing there by Nelson, but he's going to take one below his knees for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. Want to know the count here on the right fielder for the Schaumburg Boomers. That's where we saw him a majority of the time last series. It was that first series of the year here at Consol Energy Park that the Wild Things saw Nelson playing at the third base position, now occupied by Kenny Towns. Bixler has his sign. He's set, and the 1-0. And that one's just low for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count. Brandon Bixler falling behind Mark Nelson. Didn't miss by much on that last pitch, just below the knees of Mark Nelson. Some current scores from around the league. River City leads Windy City 5-2 in the top of the 5th. Normal leading Southern Illinois 1-0 in the top of the 5th. The 2-0, and this one popped up to right field. Dave Popkins coming in on it. He'll camp under it, and he makes the catch, and that's in time for out number 2. That's second out of the inning for the Schaumburg Boomers. Runner still at first as Kenny Towns retreats there, and that'll bring to the plate the first baseman, Mike McClellan. McClellan so far 1 for 2. Flew out in the second and hit that RBI single back in the fourth, the only run of the game so far for the Schaumburg Boomers. As we continue the out-of-town scoreboard, Evansville currently leads Florence 3-2, that game in the bottom of the fourth, and Joliet leading Gateway 4-0, that game in the top of the third. Bixler has his sign, the pitch, and this ball hit foul off to the right back into the seats. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Boomers' first baseman. One game postponed tonight as the Traverse City Beach Bums and Lake Erie Crushers were rained out in Avon, Ohio. Brandon Bixler looking in, going through the signs with Kyle Pollock. Has one he likes, he's set. And he'll look the runner back to first base as he steps off here. No balls and a strike, 2 men out, top of the 6th, 2-1 Wild Things lead. Bixler has his sign, he's set, checks first in the 0-1. And that one's outside for a ball. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count here on Mike McClellan. Last time we faced the Boomers, Paul Kroenfeld did the majority of the playing at first base, was also out in right field. But tonight, McClellan getting his second straight start at the position here in this series. Bixler has his sign. Here's the 1-1. And this one ground to the right side. That's a base hit through the hole between Willard and Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo forced to hold the runner Towns on at first, so that made that hole a little bit bigger on that right side, allowing McClellan to sneak that one through. Now there's runners at first and second with 2 men out, and that brings to the plate the designated hitter, Michael Hill. Hill so far 0 for 2, lined out in the second and grounded out in inning number 4. 2 men out here in the top of the 6th. Brandon Bixler trying to get through his second scoreless inning of the day. He's given up 2 hits, both in this inning. Had a 1-2-3 inning in his first inning as a Wild Thing in the top half of the 5th. Brandon Bixler looking into Kyle Pollock, going through the signs. Bixler, and now he'll step off as he wants to go through once again. Kenny Towns at second, Mike McClellan the runner at first. Each singled, Towns with 1 out, and McClellan with 2 men out. Bixler has his sign, checks the second base bag, and the pitch on the way. And that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Michael Hill, the DH for the Schaumburg Boomers, batting in that number 7 hole. Michael Hill for the Boomers is standing in at 5'11", 190 from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's a rookie here to the Frontier League. Bixler has his sign, checks second, the 1-0. And that one's a called strike in the knees. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 here on Michael Hill. Hill played for UNC Charlotte, the University of North Carolina, earlier this year before joining the Schaumburg Boomers. Brandon Bixler looking into Kyle Pollock. Bixler going through the signs, has one he likes, he's set. Checks the runner at second, and the 1-1. And this one swung on a miss, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bixler blowing the fastball by him there, and now trying to get this final out of the inning. Has not struck anybody out here in this ball game. Would love to get a strikeout in 2014 when he played in 41 games. Had 77 strikeouts and 74 innings of work. Bixler has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at second, and the 1-2 offering. And this ball fouled back to the screen. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Michael Hill. 2 men out in this top of the 6th inning. 2-1 Wild Things lead. Boomers did have action in their bullpen earlier in this inning. We'll see if Seth Webster has a chance to come out to pitch the bottom half of this 6th inning. Bixler looking into Kyle Pollock. Runners at first and second take their leads. Bixler set, holds at the belt, checks the runner at second, and the 1 ball, 2 strike offering. And that one high and outside gets by Pollock to the backstop, and that's going to allow both runners to move up. A wild pitch here for Brandon Bixler. And now there's runners at second and third with 2 outs, and the count evens up to Michael Hill, goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 here. Brandon Bixler trying to avoid allowing a run here in this top of the 6th inning after the Wild Things gave him the lead in the bottom half of the 5th on the solo home run by Chris Grayson. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Hill batting from the right side against the lefty Bixler. Bixler has his sign. He's set. Checks the runner at second and the 2-2. And a swing and a miss. Bixler strikes out Michael Hill, and that ends the inning. No runs in the inning for the Boomers on 2 hits, no errors, and they leave both on base. After 5.5, the score, your Washington Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the bottom of the 6th. And the score, your Washington Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. New pitcher on for the Schaumburg Boomers as it will now be right-hander Jake Joyce. Joyce so far on the year for the Boomers, a record of 7-3, 1 save, a 2.72 ERA, appearing in his 31st game. Has thrown 36 in the 3rd innings of work, giving up 15 runs, 11 of those earned on 27 hits, 55 strikeouts, and 27 walks for Jake Joyce on the year. The final line for the starter, Seth Webster. Webster goes 5, gives up 2 runs, both those runs earned on 6 hits, walked 2, and struck out 4 in the ball game. So Jake Joyce on. Last inning for the Wild Things. They took the lead in this ball game. Austin Wobrock struck out to lead things off, and Andrew Heck flew out before Chris Grayson came through with his 3rd home run of the season. Just barely cleared the right field wall, but it was enough to give the Wild Things this 2-1 lead. Then Ricky Rodriguez would single, and Dave Popkins popped out to end the inning. Due up here in the 6th, Jimmy Yezzo, Kyle Pollock, and Justin Garcia, 5, 6, and 7, facing off against the new pitcher, Jake Joyce. So Joyce coming on, appearing in his 31st game for Joyce. That is currently good for first on the team, or second on the team behind the 35 appearances by the closer Dexter Price. Stepping in to lead things off here in this inning, first baseman Jimmy Yezzo. Yezzo so far 0 for 2, hit into a fielder's choice in the first and flew out in inning number 3. Nobody out, bottom of the 6th, as the Wild Things try to add on to their 2-1 lead. Jake Joyce looking in, the new pitcher for Schaumburg. Looks in, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way to Yezzo. And that one way inside and low, and the count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Wild Things first baseman, Jimmy Yezzo. Suffered an ankle injury a week ago here at Consol Energy Park. Last Thursday night, when the Wild Things were taking on the Lake Erie Crushers, rolled his ankle, rolling into first base. Joyce has his sign, the 1-0, and this one popped up by Yezzo. Right out in front of the plate, as James Keller lost it. Coming in is McClellan, and he'll make the catch as he takes charge out there. And that's out number 1. James Keller looked up into the lights and had no idea where the baseball was, so McClellan having to come in from first base and take charge to make that catch for out number 1. That brings to the plate the catcher, Kyle Pollock. Pollock so far 0 for 2. Grounded out in the second, was robbed of extra bases on a very nice running, leaping catch by Argenis Aldazaro for the first out in the 4th inning. Jake Joyce on. Kyle Pollock's first at-bat against Joyce. Joyce has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. And Pollock takes this one for a strike. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Wild Things catcher. Kyle Pollock had a night off in the Traverse City Series. Had a night off on Wednesday night as Steve Solkoski got a chance to catch for the Wild Things. Joyce has his sign. He's set in the 0-1. And a swing and a miss there by Pollock. A big cut into the high fastball. And the count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count. Neither starter going very deep in this ball game. Christian Powell, 4 innings of work. And Seth Webster, 5 innings of work on the night. Joyce has his sign. He's set in the 0-2 offering. And Pollock wisely lays off this one. It's low and outside. And the count now going to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 on the Wild Things catcher. 1 man out. Bottom of the 6th. 2-1 Wild Things lead. Jake Joyce looking in to James Keller. Joyce has his sign. He's set. And the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And a swing and a miss. Pollock strikes out. And that's good for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for the Wild Things here in the 6th. First strikeout of the night for Jake Joyce. And that brings on the designated hitter, Justin Garcia. Garcia so far 0 for 2. Struck out in the 2nd and struck out in inning number 4. Trying to start some 2-out magic for the Wild Things. They lead 2-1 here over the Schaumburg Boomers. Game 2 of this 3-game series here at Consol Energy Park. Jake Joyce, the right-hander, the new pitcher on for Schaumburg. Second pitcher used out of the bullpen. Here's the pitch, and this one swung on and missed by Garcia. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things designated hitter, Justin Garcia. As Jake Joyce currently 4th on this team with an ERA. Joyce has his sign. He's set, and the pitch on the way. And this ball popped up to the left side. Kenny Towns giving chase towards foul territory. So is Aldazaro. And this one will fall in the Schaumburg Boomers bullpen for a foul ball. Count goes to no balls and 2 strikes. For Jake Joyce, currently in his 2nd year with the Schaumburg Boomers. Also pitched for them in 2015 in 34 games. Went 3-3 with a 2.02 ERA through 40 innings. And struck out 49 a year ago. About to pass that innings mark this season. He's thrown 36 in the 3rd innings in 30 games this year, this being his 31st appearance, and has struck out 55. So he's already struck out more than he struck out a year ago here in his 2nd year with Schaumburg. Jake Joyce looking in. Designated hitter Justin Garcia at the plate. Righty on lefty matchup. Joyce has his sign and the no ball 2 strike pitch. And Garcia takes this one low and outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 on Garcia, batting from the left side. Garcia played for the Houston Astros organization. Single A and rookie ball combined this year for rookie ball was hitting 174 with a homer and 2 RBIs. Here's Joyce's 1-2, and that one's outside for a ball. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Joyce has retired the first 2 Wild Things he's faced here in this bottom half of the 6th inning. His first inning out of the bullpen, relieving the starter, Seth Webster. Webster goes 5 in this one. He is the pitcher of record as of right now. Wild Things leading 2-1. Joyce has his sign. He's set. And the 2 ball, 2 strike pitch. And Garcia fouling this one off to the left side. I'll go back into the seats. And the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2. Justin Garcia hit his first home run of his Wild Things career back on Wednesday night in Traverse City. Wild Things would end up losing that game by the score of 6-1 as he just snuck it over the right field wall at Werfel Park in Traverse City, Michigan. Joyce has his sign. He's set in the 2-2. And a swing and a miss. Garcia strikes out, and that will end the inning. Second strikeout of the night for Joyce. 1-2-3 go the Wild Things here in the 6th. And after 6 innings of play here at Consol Energy Park, the score, your Washington Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get a sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 7th, and the score, Your Washington Wild Things 2 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. Last inning for the Schaumburg Boomers. They would threaten but would not score. Argeni Salazaro grounded out to lead things off. Then Kenny Towns would single. Mark Nelson would fly out before Mike McClellan singled to put runners at first and second. 2 men out. A wild pitch would move the runners up to second and third with 2 outs before Michael Hill struck out to end the inning. Due up here in the 7th against Brandon Bixler will be James Keller, Nick Oberg, and Tobias Moreno. 8, 9, and 1. Bixler in for his 3rd inning of relief. Relieved the starter, Christian Powell, back in the top half of the 5th inning. Powell goes 4 in this ball game, giving up 1 run, 1 earned on 3 hits, 2 walks, and a strikeout. He'll get a no decision here tonight as Brandon Bixler is the pitcher of record to this point. Stepping to lead things off here in the top of the 7th, James Keller. Keller so far 0 for 2, grounded out in the 3rd and popped out in inning number 4. Bixler has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And that one's just inside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count here on the Schaumburg Boomers catcher, Brandon Bixler, in his Wild Things debut in his 3rd inning so far here at Consol Energy Park. Christian Powell goes 4. Bixler has his sign. He's set. And the 1-0. And this ball grounded foul off to the left by Keller. Count evens up at 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1 here on the Schaumburg Boomers catcher. Keller, the primary catcher for the Boomers, is their backup on the roster is Jack Cockrum. Cockrum from the University of West Alabama. James Keller from the University of Marion, Washington. Here's Bixler's 1-1. And Keller takes this one inside for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 now on the Schaumburg Boomers catcher. Wild Things lead by 1. Bixler trying to keep it that way here in inning number 7. Has his sign. He's set. And the 2-1 offering. And this ball lined on the left field line, and that one will hook foul, thankfully for the Wild Things. And the count evens up at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out, top of the 7th. 2-1 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers here at Consol Energy Park. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Brandon Bixler looking in. He's set, holds at the belt, and the 2-2 offering. And a swing and a miss. Bixler strikes out James Keller, and that's the first out here in the top of the 7th. 1 up, 1 down. Second strikeout of the day for Brandon Bixler, and that brings to the plate the shortstop, Nick Oberg. Oberg so far 0 for 2, grounded out in the 3rd, and grounded out in inning number 5. 1 up, 1 down in the top of the 7th. Bixler's been very good out of the bullpen for the Wild Things here today. Lefty on righty matchup. Bixler has his sign, and the pitch on the way. And this ball hit towards right center field. Dave Popkins drifting over there, and he'll make the catch. That's in time for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for Bixler in this 7th. And that brings to the plate the center fielder, Tobias Moreno. Moreno so far 0 for 2, lined out in the 1st, walked in the 3rd, and grounded out in inning number 5. 2 men out here in the top of the 7th. 2-1, Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. As Moreno stepping in, the leadoff man for the Boomers. Led off last night's game as well and played in center field. Ended up going 2 for 4 in that game a night ago. Bixler has his sign. Here's the pitch. And that one's in there for a strike, hitting the outside corner, and the count's no balls and a strike. I've noticed Bixler so far in this outing working away from every hitter, away from both the righties and the lefties, trying to get these batters to pull the ball the other way. The 0-1, and that one's on that outside corner as well. Bixler getting ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count. No action in the Wild Things bullpen right now, so manager Greg Langben letting Bixler go out there, and he's doing pretty well, so why not? Has his sign, the 0-2, and a swing and a slow roller foul ball to the right side. Got a piece of the home plate umpire, Mark Schmidt. He'll shake that one off, and the count remains 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out here in this top of the 7th. 2-1 Wild Things lead over the Boomers here at Consol Energy Park. Brandon Bixler looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the 0-2 offering. And a swing and a miss. Bixler strikes him out, and that ends the inning. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Bixler, 3 on the day, as 1, 2, 3 go the Boomers here in the 7th. And after 6.5 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple: with expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful.
Off race, so cheer them on as they hope to catch that second wild card spot currently held by the Normal Corn Belters. They are 2.5 back of those Corn Belters coming into tonight, and currently, the last time we checked that score in Normal, Illinois, the Corn Belters were leading the Southern Illinois Miners 1-0. That score has changed as Southern Illinois now leading Normal 2-1. So the Wild Things looking to get a win here and hopefully a Corn Belters loss, and then they'd move up to 1.5 games back of the Corn Belters for that second wild card spot. Stepping in to lead things off here in the bottom of the 7th is the second baseman Ryan Willard. Willard so far 0 for 2. Struck out in the second and grounded out in inning number 4. Nobody out, bottom of the 7th. 2-1. Wild Things lead here at Consol Energy Park. Jake Joyce looking into his catcher James Keller. Joyce's second inning of work, appearing in his 31st game of the season, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. Willard showing bunt, pulls back and takes a strike on the outside corner. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count, nobody out, bottom of the 7th. 2-1 Wild Things lead. 2 runs on 6 hits for the Wild Things. 1 run on 5 hits for the Schaumburg Boomers. Joyce has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1. That one's outside for a ball. Count evens up now. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1, nobody out. Here in the bottom of the 7th, Ryan Willard starting his second straight game at second base. Was at second base last night for the Wild Things as well. Joyce has his sign and the 1-1. And a swing and a miss there by Willard. The count now going to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Joyce struck out 2 Wild Things last inning in the middle of his 1-2-3 inning. Got Kyle Pollock and Justin Garcia to end that inning as Jimmy Yezzo popped out to start things. Jake Joyce has his sign, he's set, and the 1-2 pitch. And Willard takes this one low and outside. Keller tried to block that one, but he could not as it hits off his chest protector, goes back to the backstop, but nobody on base, so Keller not really having to worry about blocking that one. Count 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, nobody out, bottom of the 7th. Jake Joyce, the right-hander on the mound against the right-handed batter, Ryan Willard. Willard getting some starts lately. Started at shortstop his last time out. And even prior to yesterday's game, he started at shortstop game 2 of the doubleheader in Windy City. The 2-2, and that one's just low below the knees for a ball. Count goes to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Full count here on Ryan Willard. On deck man is the shortstop Austin Wolbrock. Wild Things trying to add on here in the bottom of the 7th. Currently lead by 1 over the Boomers. Joyce has his sign. Here's the 3-2. And Willard down the left field line and hooks foul just towards that Boomers bullpen. Willard missed extra bases there by a couple of inches, and he's going to have to come back to the plate and do it again. Count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count here on the Wild Things second baseman. Jamadrick Magruder was playing second base every day for the Wild Things, but then suffered an injury, a hamstring injury, back when we were in Florence to start that 10-game road trip. That was back on July the 31st. He suffered that injury, and he hasn't really played second base consistently ever since. We've seen Grant Fink and now Ryan Willard stepping in for him. Joyce has his sign, the 3-2. And this one fouled back by Ryan Willard. So another battle brewing here as the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming between Ryan Willard and Jake Joyce. Willard had a long at-bat earlier in the game. In his second inning strikeout against the starter Seth Webster, he saw 9 pitches before striking out in that one. Currently trying to get a better result here in the bottom of the 7th. Joyce has his sign. He's set. And the 3-2. And a swing and a miss. Willard strikes out. So the same result, but still a nice long at-bat for Willard. And that's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 7th. 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things. That brings to the plate the shortstop, Austin Wolbrock. Wolbrock so far 0 for 2. Flew out in the 3rd and struck out in inning number 5. 1 man out, bottom of the 7th. Wolbrock coming to the plate with his walk-up song, Heathens by 21 Pilots, a song featured in the new movie Suicide Squad. Wolbrock is telling me he likes the jam and uses it for his walk-up song. Joyce has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Wolbrock. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count on the Wild Things shortstop. Righty on lefty matchup. Jake Joyce on the mound against Austin Wolbrock. Joyce looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 0-1 offering. That one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 here on the Wild Things shortstop. Wolbrock in his second year with the team. Wolbrock, a native of Costa Mesa, California. Jake Joyce has his sign. He's set. And the 1-1 offering. And a check swing there by Wobrock, but he went around, says the home plate umpire Mark Schmidt. And the count swells to 1-2 strikes. 1-2 here on Wobrock. One man out in this bottom of the 7th inning. 2-1 Wild Things lead. Jake Joyce, the second pitcher used for the Schaumburg Boomers, came in to relieve the starter Seth Webster. Joyce has his sign, the 1-2, and a swing and a foul ball, and Keller's able to hold on to it, and that counts as a strikeout. That's out number 2. The 4th strikeout of the day for Jake Joyce, and that'll bring to the plate the left fielder Andrew Heck. Heck so far 1 for 3, lined out in the first, single in the third, and flew out in inning number 5. 2 men out, bottom of the 7th, 2-1 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. The last meeting between these two teams is going to be tomorrow night, 5:05, Game 3 of this 3-game series, and the Wild Things are done with the Boomers for the year. Here's the pitch, and this one fouled off by Andrew Heck off to the left towards the Boomers' dugout, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the Wild Things left fielder. The 4-year veteran on this team is the team leader and really gets his guys rallied up in his 4th year. Does Andrew Heck, currently in the leadoff spot right now, trying to get something going with 2 outs. Joyce has his sign. He's set in the 0-1. And Heck takes this one high for a ball. Count evens up at 1-1 strike. 1-1 the count here on the Wild Things left fielder. Has been in that leadoff spot for over a month now and has really excelled at the position, taking over that left field spot. Prior to him taking it over, it was really a flip-flop between Grant Fink and Andrew Heck getting time out there after Nick Ferdinand retired. Joyce is 1-1, and that one's on the inside corner for a strike. Count goes to 1-2 strikes. Heck initially leaned out of the way of that one, but home plate umpire Mark Schmidt saying it hit that corner, so count going in Joyce's favor, 1-2 strikes. Joyce has his sign. He's set, and the 1-2 offering. And that one's just inside for a ball. Count evens up at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 runs, 6 hits for the Wild Things, 1 run, 5 hits for the Schaumburg Boomers. Bottom of the 7th, 2-1 Wild Things lead. In the thick of a playoff race, trying to get a win every game becomes that much more important. Here's Joyce's 2-2, and this one fouled off by Heck back to the screen. Count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Andrew Heck just a little bit late on that ball as he was on it and able to get a piece of it to stay alive. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wild Things have done very well with 2 outs and runners on, so Heck trying to get on to spark a 2-out rally. Joyce has his side, and he's set in the 2-2. And Heck pops this one up foul back behind the stadium. It'll land on the outskirts, and the count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 here on Andrew Heck. 2 men out, bottom of the 7th. Wild Things have been battling these pitchers. 8 pitches to Ryan Willard to start this inning, 4 to Wobrock before he struck out. Now the 7th pitch of the at-bat coming to Andrew Heck. Joyce has his sign. He's set. And the 2-2. That one's outside for a ball. Count fills up at 3 balls and 2 strikes. And what you do by taking these long at-bats is you really expose the opposing pitcher. He has to throw a lot of pitches, has to usually throw all of his pitches in the at-bat, and you get a chance to see what he's got. It benefits both the batter at the plate and the batter on deck, more so with the starter than the relievers, but still, you make the relievers throw a lot of pitches and get them out of the game. Here's the 3-2, and a swing and a foul ball by Heck. Just got a piece of that one as that goes towards the Boomers' dugout, and the count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. The 9th pitch of this at-bat upcoming here between Andrew Heck and Jake Joyce. And the Wild Things got to be thankful to be in their home dugouts in Windy City and Traverse City. There were no fences in front of the dugout, so you had to always be alert in that dugout. Here they have a protective fence to help their players. Joyce has his sign to 3-2, and a called strike 3. Andrew Heck strikes out, and that ends the inning. Jake Joyce striking out the side here in the 7th as the Wild Things go 1-2-3. After 7 innings of play, the score, your Washington Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, going to the top of the 8th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. Last inning for the Boomers, James Keller struck out to lead things off, then Nick Oberg would fly out, and Tobias Moreno would strike out to end the inning. To up here in the top of the 8th, Jordan Dean, Argeni Saldazaro, and Kenny Towns, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Schaumburg Boomers against Brandon Bixler. Bixler back out there for his 4th inning of work, relieving the starter Christian Powell back in inning number 5. Powell would go 4 innings in this ball game. He gave up just 1 run. Bixler in his 4th inning of relief here now for the Wild Things, as they'll face 2, 3, and 4 in this top half of the 8th inning. Bixler is the pitcher of record, as this game was tied at 1 when Christian Powell left the game, and Powell had not gone 5 innings in the ball game, which is the minimum to pick up a win. Stepping in to lead things off here in the top of the 8th is the second baseman, Jordan Dean. Dean so far 0 for 3, struck out in the first, grounded out in the third, and grounded out in inning number 5. Nobody out here in the top of the 8th. Wild Things leading 2-1 over the Boomers. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Brandon Bixler looking in. Bixler going to the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And Dean takes this one just low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count for Brandon Bixler on the night so far. 3 strikeouts through 3 innings of work, as Schaumburg Boomers first base coach forgot to get out there. They didn't have a player coaching first base. Just does now get out there after the first pitch of the inning. Here's the 1-0. And this ball popped foul off to the right, back into the seats, and the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. As we were talking about earlier, the Boomers have a player rotate at first base, usually a pitcher who's not in the game, and right now they had to get one out there. He has the throw over on, so I can't tell you which player it is out there right now. Bixler has his sign. He's set in the 1-1. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 2 balls and a strike. 2-1 on Jordan Dean, the second baseman for the Boomers. Dean was an all-star this year, represented the Schaumburg Boomers out in Florence, Kentucky. There is action in the Boomers bullpen as a right-hander starts to warm up out there. Bixler has his sign. Here's the 2-1. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count here on Jordan Dean. Wild Things action in their bullpen as well, as they have a righty warming up. Looks like Colin Stanley out there for Washington. For the Schaumburg Boomers, their righty warming up as this pitch is hit to right field. Dave Popkins will backtrack. In front of the track, he'll make the catch, and that's good for out number 1. That ball looked like it was going to have a lot more carry on it than it did off the bat. But luckily for the Wild Things, it dies on the track, and they'll hold this 2-1 lead. 1 man out here in the top of the 8th, and that brings to the plate the left fielder, Argeni Saldazaro. In the bullpen for the Schaumburg Boomers is Dexter Price, the right-hander out there. Argeni Saldazaro so far on the day, 2 for 3, doubled in the first, singled in the 4th, and grounded out in inning number 6. Brandon Bixler looking into Kyle Pollock, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. Aldorazo sowing bunt, and he'll take this one outside, or on the outside corner for a strike, no balls and a strike. Aldazaro showing bunt, but able to pull that one back, but it's a called strike anyways. No balls and a strike, 1 man out. Bixler retiring the first man he faced here in this inning, has his sign, he's set, and the 0-1 offering. And that one's on the outside corner as well. Count now going to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 the count. Bixler doing very well out of the bullpen here in his Wild Things debut. In 3 1/3 innings so far, he's just giving up 2 hits. Has his sign and the 0-2 pitch. And that one's just below the knees, and the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Just trying to wait to see if Mark Schmidt would give Bixler the delayed strike call, but he did not, and the count goes to 1-2. Bixler has his sign, he's set, and the 1 ball, 2 strike offering. And that one's inside as Aldazaro jumping out of the way of that one. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 1 man out here in the top of the 8th. Wild Things lead by 1. Brandon Bixler trying to keep it that way. A deep fly ball out for the first out of the inning. trying to get the strikeout here. Has his sign and the 2-2. And this ball grounded up the middle, and that's a base hit for Aldazaro. His third hit of the ball game, as he's just been crushing Wild Things pitching here tonight. There's a runner at first with one man out for the Boomers. Last night for Aldazaro, Zaro got one hit in 4 at-bats. Currently 3 hits in 4 at-bats here tonight. So far 4 for 8 in this series, and that brings up the third baseman, Kenny Towns. Towns so far in the day, 1 for 2, flew out in the first, walked in the fourth, and singled in inning number 6. One man out. Brandon Bixler would love a ground ball, but right now manager Greg Langbank coming out of the Wild Things dugout. We'll see if he makes a move here. No official sign yet, and he will make the move. So we're going to have a pitching change here in the top of the 8th with one man out and a runner at first. We're going to take a break here on the MSA Sports Network. When we come back, we're going to have your new pitcher. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here, currently at the top of the 8th. Wild Things lead 2-1.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. POWX is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. POWX can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to POWX.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball, currently in the top of the 8th, and the score, your Washington Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. Brandon Bixler's night is done. As new pitcher comes on for the Washington Wild Things, it's right-hander Colin Stanley. Stanley so far in the year, a record of 3-1, 2 saves on the year, a 2.81 ERA, appearing in his 29th game, has thrown 38 in the third innings of work, giving up 15 runs, 12 of those earned on 31 hits, struck out 32, and walked 11 on the night. So coming in to try to get these last 2 outs here in the 8th, there is a runner at first as Argenis Aldazaro singled with one man out against Brandon Bixler, and that caused manager Greg Langman to come out of the dugout and pull his left-hander, but a very good outing for Bixler out of the bullpen today. Went 3 1/3, did not give up a run, still responsible for Aldazaro at first. Gave up 3 hits, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 3. Took him 40 pitches to get through those 3 1/3 innings. So Colin Stanley on to try to get these last 2 outs, facing Kenny Towns. Towns 1 for 2. Stanley has his sign. Here's the pitch. And this one low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Colin Stanley's been very consistent for the Wild Things out of the bullpen. Currently holds the lowest ERA on the team, as his ERA sitting at 2.81. Stanley looks in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 1 ball, no strike pitch. And that one's inside for a ball. Count goes to 2-0. Colin Stanley trying to get through this inning, as Brandon Bixler still responsible for Argenis Aldazaro over there at first base, giving up the 1-out single. Stanley going through the signs with Pollock. Has his sign. He's set. And the 2-0. And a swing and a miss, and the count now goes to 2 balls and a strike. Kenny Towns just missing that fastball in the outside corner as Stanley getting to swing by it. It's Colin Stanley's second year as a Washington Wild Thing. Last year went 0-1 with a 1.24 ERA in 16 games. Struck out 36 in 21 and 2/3 innings. Currently 32 in 38 1/3 this year. The 2-1, and that one fouled back to the screen. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2, 1 man out here in the top of the 8th. 2-1 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers. Colin Stanley trying to finish out this 8th inning for your Washington Wild Things. Argenis Aldazaro singled with 1 man out. He's over there at first base. Aldazaro takes his lead out there as Colin Stanley looking in. Stanley has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch, and that one's just outside for a ball. Count fills up here on Kenny Towns. And it's 3-2 for Aldazaro over there at first base. 2 stolen bases in 18 games in his Boomers career. And if you're Colin Stanley, you do not want to walk this man at the plate right now. You want to get him out right here and get this second out of the inning. Stanley has his sign. He's set the 3-2. Aldazaro takes off for second. Swung and missed. The throw down. And it's in time. Strike him out. Throw him out. Double play. And that ends the inning. What a play for the Wild Things. Stanley the strikeout. Pollock the strong throw. And that ends the inning. No runs in the inning for the Boomers on just one hit. No errors and nobody left on. After 7.5 the score, your Washington Wild Things 2 and the Schaumburg Boomers 1. You're listening to Washington Wild Things baseball right here on the MSA Sports Network.
You just never know how your day is going to go. The same holds true at Penn Station East Coast Subs. For some unsuspecting spuds, they start their day as Idaho potatoes, only to be transformed into hand-hewn fries. Unlucky for them, good for you. However, both your days get better because the fries get to sidle up next to a perfectly grilled Philly cheesesteak. Then, on their way to their final resting place, they get bathed in citric nectar, our signature lemonade. Wherever your day takes you, we recommend Penn Station be one of the stops.
When looking to replace your athletic field, choose ProGrass, first in turf. ProGrass has installed over 500 fields in the U.S. Getting the best artificial turf for your field depends upon both the product and the partner you choose. That's why architects, athletic directors, and players choose the ProGrass Performance System. ProGrass maintains an active presence in the field turf industry as members of the Sports Turf Management Association and the American Sports Builder Association, and is proud to be recognized as a FIFA preferred manufacturer. Call ProGrass today at 866-270-6003 or visit them on the web at www.progressturf.com. ProGrass, first in turf.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball going to the bottom of the 8th. And the score, your Washington Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. New pitcher on for the Schaumburg Boomers is right-hander Dexter Price. Price so far in the year, a record of 4-4, 12 saves on the year, a 2.90 ERA, appearing in his 36th game. Has thrown 40 1/3 innings of work, giving up 22 runs, 13 of those earned on 39 hits, 42 strikeouts, and 11 walks on the year for Price. The final line for Jake Joyce, the reliever. Joyce goes 2, does not give up a run, no hits, no walks, and struck out 5 in the ballgame. Do have to face Price here in the bottom half of inning number 8. 2, 3, and 4, Chris Grayson, Ricky Rodriguez, and Dave Popkins. Grayson making his way to the plate right now. So far is 2 for 3, hit a solo home run in the 5th, singled in the 3rd, and flew out in inning number 1. Grayson's home run gave the Wild Things this 2-1 lead as he just snuck it over the right field wall in his last at-bat. Price looks in, has his sign. He's set. Here's the pitch. Grayson showing bunting. This one will get foul as he did get it down, but in foul territory, so the count goes to no balls and a strike. Warming up in the Wild Things bullpen is right-hander Andrew Wick with the save situation coming here in the 9th. Wick and Davis have been going back and forth in terms of save opportunities. Wick, if he comes out, this would be his second straight save opportunity for the Wild Things. Grayson stepping back in, no balls and a strike. Dexter Price looks into James Keller. Third baseman Kenny Townsend on the grass for the Boomers. Price has his sign, the 0-1. And Grayson takes this one low and outside for a ball. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Grayson. Nobody out, bottom of the 8th. Grayson the leadoff man, trying to put some padding on that lead they have. Price is 1-1. And a swing and a miss there as Grayson chases in the dirt. And the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2, nobody out, bottom of the 8th. 2 runs, 6 hits for your Wild Things. 1 run, 6 hits for the Boomers. Price has his sign. He's set. And the 1-2. And a swing and a miss. Chris Grayson strikes out, and that'll end the inning. 1 up, 1 down for the, or that's the first out of the inning, 1 up, 1 down for the Wild Things here in the bottom of the 8th. And that brings to the plate the third baseman, Ricky Rodriguez. Rodriguez so far 2 for 3. A solo home run back in the 1st, flew out in the 3rd, and singled in inning number 5. 1 man out here in the bottom of the 8th. 2-1 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Wild Things trying to even up this series and create a rubber match for tomorrow night. Price has his sign. He's set. And the pitch. And a swing and a miss there by Rodriguez, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. Jake Joyce doing a nice job with the strikeout pitch out of the bullpen for the Boomers. He struck out 5 in his 2 innings of work. Price starting his bullpen outing, pretty well. Here's the 0-1. And another swing and a miss as Price blows 2 fastballs by Ricky Rodriguez, and that makes the count no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 here on Rodriguez. 2 men out, bottom of the 8th. as the Wild Things trying to get on base, so far unsuccessfully, against Price. Price is 0-2, and this one just low for a ball. Count going to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 on Rodriguez out there at third base for the Wild Things. Has been splitting time with Alvaro Gonzalez at the position. Rodriguez has been bouncing back and forth between DHing and third base for the Wild Things. The 1-2 and a swing and a miss. Rodriguez strikes out, and that's out number 2 here in the bottom of the 8th. 2 up, 2 down. Price striking out the first 2 men he faced, and that brings to the plate the right fielder Dave Popkins. Popkins so far 1 for 2. Singled in the first, walked in the third, and popped out in inning number 5. 2 men out, bottom of the 8th. 2-1 Wild Things lead over the Schaumburg Boomers here in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Popkins batting left-handed against the righty Dexter Price. Popkins a switch hitter. Here's the pitch, and that one's on the outside corner for a strike. Count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 here on the Wild Things right fielder. Popkins has only missed 1 game this season. That was back on June the 12th. Price has his sign, the 0-1, and a swing and a miss there, and the count now going to no balls and 2 strikes. 0-2, 2 men out. Popkins is trying to avoid the strikeout as the first 2 men Price has faced in this inning have struck out as well. Price looking in, has his sign, he's set, and the no ball, 2 strike pitch. Swing and a miss. Popkins strikes out, and that ends the inning. So Dexter Price strikes out the side here in the 8th. 1, 2, 3 go to Wild Things, and going to the top of the 9th, your Wild Things lead this one 2-1. You're listening to the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball.
AAA members enjoy 24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive member-only discounts, expert travel assistance, free identity theft protection, and much more. With that AAA card in your wallet or purse, you have the peace of mind, safety, and security that only AAA membership can provide. Already a member? Don't forget to renew. Not a member? Join AAA today at any nearby office or online at AAA.com. AAA, we're always with you.
How does a 120-year-old company like Henderson Brothers keep up in a world that changes every minute, that keeps throwing curveballs, that flaunts new technology, that demands responsiveness? The answer is simple. With expertise. We insure the most successful corporations in the area, and they in turn recommend us. And for that, we're grateful. Henderson Brothers. Expect an expert.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball in the top of the 9th, and your Wild Things lead this one 2-1. On for the save here is right-hander Andrew Wick. Wick so far in the year, a record of 2-1, 4 saves, a 3.89 ERA. Appearing in his 29th game, has thrown 34 and 2/3 innings of work, giving up 20 runs, 15 of those earned on 24 hits, 34 strikeouts, and 13 walks on the year. Wick looking for save number 5 this season. Currently has 4. Final line for the reliever Colin Stanley. Stanley goes 2/3, gives up no runs on no hits, no walks, and struck out 1, getting that big strike him out, throw him out double play to end the top of the 8th. Due up here in the top of the 9th to face Andrew Wick will be Mark Nelson, Mike McClellan, and Michael Hill. 5, 6, and 7. Wick having to go right through the middle of this order, but Andrew Wick has been very good on the mound. His last run allowed came on August the 9th against Lake Erie, and his last earned run was on July 27th against the Normal Corn Belters. So as of late, has been very good out of the bullpen for the Wild Things, looking to continue his success here tonight in the top of the 9th as the Wild Things try to secure their 40th win of the season. As we said, they came into today 2.5 back of that second wild card spot here in the Frontier League as they are trying to fight the Normal Corn Belters for that spot. Corn Belters in their game, they're currently playing the Southern Illinois Miners. And right now the score out there, Miners 4, Corn Belters 1 in the top of the 7th. So Southern Illinois can hold on for that win. The Wild Things will be 1.5 out of that final wild card spot. Due up here in this top of the 9th, Mark Nelson. Nelson so far 0 for 3. He's the first man on against Andrew Wick. Wick looking into his catcher Pollock. Has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count. Andrew Wick, a guy who's been pounding the strike zone as of late for the Washington Wild Things, has not walked a batter in his last 3 outings. Last walk coming against Lake Erie on August the 9th. Wick has his sign, a 1-0. And this ball grounded foul off to the right, so that evens up the count at 1 ball and a strike. That hits off the Wild Things dugout. All the Wild Things players on their top step watching intently on the field as the Wild Things try to pick up their 40th win of the season, an inch closer to the normal Corn Belters here in this wild card race. Wick looking into Kyle Pollock, has his sign, he's set, and the 1-1. And that one's high and outside for a ball. Count going to 2 balls and a strike now. 2-1 the count. Andrew Wick trying to save it for Brandon Bixler. Bixler, the pitcher of record here in his Wild Things debut. Wick has his sign, he's set, and the 2-1. And that one's low for a ball. Count now going to 3 balls and a strike on Mark Nelson. And Andrew Wick trying to find the strike zone here. Not the start he wanted coming out of the bullpen here in this 9th inning. 3 balls and a strike. Wick looks into Kyle Pollock. Has his sign, he's set, and the 3-1 offering. And a swing and a miss, and the count goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Andrew Wick was the closer for the Wild Things in the beginning of the year, but then with the emergence of Zach Groats as one of the more consistent pitchers on the Wild Things team, Groats took over that closer's role, had 10 saves before being moved to a starter, and then was picked up by the LA Dodgers. So Andrew Wick and Devin Davis taking turns at the closer. The 3-2, and that one's low, ball 4. So a leadoff walk here for Andrew Wick in the top of the 9th, and that puts a runner at first for the Boomers with nobody out. That'll bring up the first baseman, Mike McClellan. McClellan so far 2 for 3. Flew out in the 2nd, RBI single in the 4th, and singled in inning number 6. So Wick walks the first man. Kyle Pollock going out to calm him down, says it's okay, just 1. Let's focus on this next guy. And that's the approach you got to have as a closer. Even though that's the tying run over there at first base, you got to pay attention and get these outs at the plate. As long as you keep these guys off the bases, there's no chance that guy's coming around. Wick has his sign, he's set, checks first, and the pitch on the way. And that one's up high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 the count here on Mike McClellan. Wild Things lead by 1 here in the top of the 9th. A check on Mark Nelson's numbers in terms of stolen bases over there at first. Nelson 2 steals in 79 games. So not a big threat to go, but still worth watching. Wick's 1-0. And that one's on the inside corner for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Another thing you got to keep in mind, Kyle Pollock's been very good at controlling the running game here this season. Has a caught stealing last inning as part of a strike him out, throw him out double play. Has a very strong arm behind the plate, so Nelson has to keep that in mind when deciding whether or not he wants to go out. Nelson takes his lead at first. Wick has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. Throw over to first, and Nelson going up, Nelson going back. For Wick, that's just a sign saying, hey, I know you're over there. So don't think of anything. 1 ball, 1 strike. You'd like to keep that guy at first base so they can keep him there and not have a runner in scoring position. Wick checks first, has his sign, he's set, and the 1-1. And that one's a called strike on the outside corner. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Wick ahead of Mike McClellan here. Righty on righty matchup. McClellan batting from the right side here against Andrew Wick here in this top of the 9th inning. 2-1 Wild Things lead. Wick looking in. Checks the runner at first. Has his sign, he's set. And the 1-2 pitch. That one's high for a ball. McClellan not able to chase that one, and the count goes even at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Righty on righty matchup. Wick trying to save this one for Brandon Bixler. Walked the first man he faced. Wick looks into Kyle Pollock. Nelson takes his lead from first. Wick holding at the belt. Now time is called as McClellan wanted to call time. Thought Wick was taking just a little bit too long out there on the mound. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Wick looking into Pollock. Nelson takes his lead. Wick holds at the belt. Checks his runner at first. And the 2-2. Swinging a fly ball to left center field. Andrew Heck and Grayson giving chase. Grayson running over, and he makes the running catch, having to go a long distance, and he comes up with that ball. Nelson having to go back to first. A very nice play there by Chris Grayson. Bails out his pitcher, Andrew Wick, and that's out number 1 here in the top of the 9th. 1 man out, runner at first, and Michael Hill coming to the plate. Hill so far in this one 0 for 3. Lined out in the 2nd, grounded out in the 4th, and struck out in inning number 6. 1 man out here in the top of the 9th. 2-1 Wild Things lead, as now there'll be a pinch runner for the Schaumburg Boomers, as coming on over at first base is Derek DeYoung. DeYoung is running for Mark Nelson. That's a pitcher out there running for Mark Nelson. So Nelson taking off, and Derek DeYoung will run for him over at first base. DeYoung taking his lead over there as Andrew Wick looks in. Wick checks DeYoung over there at first, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. Throw over to first, and DeYoung gets back in. DeYoung does not have a stolen base for the Boomers this year. He is a pitcher over there at first base, but Wick's still wanting to keep an eye on him and make sure he knows that he's alive over there at first. Wick has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way to Hill. That one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count. Hill, a switch hitter, batting from the left-handed side for the first time tonight, as this is the first time he's seen a right-handed pitcher. He saw Brandon Bixler and Christian Powell throughout the course of the night. Wick checks first, has his sign, he's set, and the pitch on the way. And this ball fouled back behind the seats, and the count goes to 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Andrew Wick having to labor through this 9th inning so far. 11 pitches to the first 2 batters, and currently 2 pitches here to Michael Hill. So he's at 13 so far here in this outing. There is action in the Wild Things bullpen. Devin Davis warming up out there just in case. Wick checks DeYoung at first, has his sign, he's set, in the 1-1. And a swing and a miss, and the count now goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count, 1 man out, top of the 9th, 2-1 Wild Things lead. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Wild Things trying to even things up and create a rubber match tomorrow night at 5:05. Wick looking in, going through the signs, checks his runner at first, has one he likes, he's set, and the 1 ball, 2 strike pitch. And this one grounded back to the mound. Wick bobbles it to second for 1, and now he threw it into center field. Derek DeYoung going to try to move up to third. Here's Ryan Willard's throw. It's not in time, and the throwing error by Andrew Wick has just created a disaster here in this 9th inning. That moves runners up to second and third now, an E1 for Andrew Wick, and now Wick in trouble here in the top of the 9th. Second and third, 1 man out, that tying run at third base, and a pinch hitter for the Boomers as up comes Paul Kroenfeld. Kroenfeld is going to hit for the catcher, James Keller. So Kroenfeld coming to the plate. Derek DeYoung, the runner at third. He pinch ran for Mark Nelson. And Michael Hill at second after reaching on that 2-base error. Kroenfeld so far on the year for the Schaumburg Boomers. He's hitting .280 with 10 homers and 49 RBIs. Those 10 home runs lead this Boomers team. Andrew Wick looking in. Wick checks his catcher Pollock. Runners are at second and third, 1 man out. Infield in here for the Wild Things. Top of the 9th, they lead 2-1. Wick has his sign, checks the runner at third, and the pitch on the way. And this one gets by Kyle Pollock, but it bounces right back to him. A lucky hop there, and that'll keep DeYoung at third. There's that concrete barrier back behind home plate. Kyle Pollock unable to block that ball, but thankfully it hits off the concrete barrier and goes right back to Kyle Pollock, able to hold the runners at second and third. 1 ball, no strikes, the count on Kroenfeld, batting for the catcher James Keller. Keller ends his night going 0 for 3. Andrew Wick looks into Kyle Pollock. Wick going to the signs, has one he likes, he's set, and the 1-0 offering. That one's outside for a ball as well. Count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. 2-0 the count. You do have first base open here if you would rather face Nick Oberg, the on-deck man. But Paul Kroenfeld, lefty on righty matchup. Runners are at second and third. Wick has his sign, checks DeYoung at third. Here's the 2-0. A swing and a miss, and the count goes to 2 balls and a strike. Wick getting him by Kroenfeld in the outside corner. Got to remember there is a pitcher running at third base, so a fly ball that's not deep is not a guaranteed run for the Schaumburg Boomers. DeYoung at third, Michael Hill over at second. Hill reached on an error, and Mark Nelson walked and was pinch ran for. The 2-1, that one's outside for a ball. Count goes to 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count. 1 man out, top of the 9th. 2-1 Wild Things lead. Andrew Wick looking into Kyle Pollock. Infield in for the Wild Things, a 3-1 count. Wick has his sign, he's set. And the 3-1. And a swing and a miss, and the count goes full to 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 man out in this top of the 9th inning. This would be a big strikeout if Andrew Wick's able to get it. On deck man Nick Oberg, as we said. Wick working outside all the way to Paul Kroenfeld so far here in this at-bat. Has his sign, checks to Young, and the 3-2. In the dirt, Pollock blocks it, that's ball 4. So it's a 1-out walk now to Paul Kroenfeld, and the bases are full of boomers here with 1 man out. That brings up the shortstop, Nick Oberg. Oberg so far 0 for 3 here in this ball game. Grounded out in the 3rd, grounded out in the 5th, and flew out in inning number 7. And manager Greg Langman now coming out of the Wild Things dugout will likely be making a pitching change here. He is not officially motioned yet, and now he has. So we're going to take a break here at the MSA Sports Network. We'll be right back. Things getting interesting here in the top of the 9th. Your Wild Things lead this one 2-1 over the Schaumburg Boomers. We're going to take a break here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball.
Hi, this is Hines Ward. If you're a high school sports fan, the place to go all year round is the MSA Sports Network. Log on every day to www.msasports.net for the schedules, the scores, the standings, the rankings, and of course, all of the broadcasts includes exclusive Whitfield playoffs and championship action. Anytime, anywhere, always there, the MSA Sports Network.
Enjoy shopping and dining at one of Ohio Valley Mall's 100 merchants, including Boscov's, MC Sports, Hibbett Sports, Pat Catan's, Christopher & Banks, Men's Warehouse, and many more. Check out the new Buckle Store. And coming soon, Buffalo Wild Wings. If the little ones need a break, head to the Kids Zone, sponsored by Ohio Valley Medical Center and East Ohio Regional Hospital, your community hospitals.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Currently in the top of the 9th with 1 man out. Wild Things lead this one 2-1, but the Boomers do have the bases loaded here. A new pitcher on is left-hander Devin Davis. Davis so far in the year, a record of 1-1, 5 saves, a 3.31 ERA. Appearing in his 32nd game, has thrown 35 and a third innings of work, giving up 14 runs, 13 of those earned, on 34 hits, walked 11, and struck out 39. So Devin Davis trying to go for his 6th save of the year. It's going to be tough as the bases are loaded with 1 man out. Nick Oberg coming to the plate to face him. Davis is currently 4th on the team with his 39 strikeouts. Actually 3rd after Zach Groats left. 3rd on the team behind Luke Wilkins and Matt Frodden. Would love a strikeout here. Corners are in. Middle infielders at double play depth. The pitch. And that one's just low for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball, no strikes. Want to know the count on Nick Oberg, the shortstop for the Boomers. He's 0 for 3 on the day. Want to know the count. Davis looking into Kyle Pollock. 2-1 Wild Things lead. Davis has his sign. He's set. And the 1-0. That one's on the inside corner this time. Evens up the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 here on Nick Oberg. Oberg jumped out of the way of that one, but it ended up hitting the corner. Bases full of Boomers here. Derek DeYoung at 3rd. He pinch ran for Mark Nelson, who walked to lead things off. Michael Hill at 2nd. He reached on a 2-base error. And Paul Kroenfeld at 1st. Kroenfeld walked. The 1-1. That one's a called strike 2. That hits the inside corner. And the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count here on Nick Oberg. 1 man out. Davis would love to get a strikeout here and keep these bases loaded with 2 away. Davis looks into Pollock. Has his sign. He's set. The 1-2. Just inside for a ball, and that evens the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Again, Nick Oberg jumping out of the way of that one, but this time Mark Schmidt does not give Davis the call. 2-2 the count. Davis has his sign. He's set. And the 2-2. And again, just inside. The count fills up now at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 the count. Davis pounding that inside part of the plate, not getting the call on the last 2 pitches. 3-2, 1 man out. Boomers had the bases loaded. Wild Things lead by 1. Davis set the 3-2. And a foul ball as that one hit off to the left. Oberg staying alive. Went out of the zone for that one, but he lives to fight another day against Devin Davis. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Davis in his first year with the Wild Things pitched in the White Sox organization a year ago. Davis shakes off the first sign. Now has one. He's set. The 3-2. Called strike 3. Davis strikes him out. and that's out number 2. Nick Oberg thought he had ball 4, and it's a called strike by Mark Schmidt. Davis comes in and strikes out Oberg, and your Wild Things 1 out away now from victory. They lead 2-1, and Tobias Moreno coming to the plate. Moreno so far 0 for 3, lined out in the first, walked in the third, grounded out in the fifth, and struck out in inning number 7. 2 men out now. Bases loaded. Wild Things infielders move back at their normal positions. Davis has his sign. He's set. And the pitch. Swing and a miss, and the count goes to no balls and a strike. 0-1 the count here on the center fielder for the Boomers. Bases full of Boomers. Derek DeYoung at third. Michael Hill at second. Paul Kroenfeld at first. 2-1 the Wild Things lead as they're trying to come through here in the top of the ninth. Davis has his sign. He's set the 0-1. And that one's high for a ball. Count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count. Davis came into the game inheriting the bases loaded and 1 man out, trying to get through this inning and get the Wild Things the victory. Davis has his sign. He's set. The 1-1. In the dirt. Nice block there by Pollock. And the count now goes to 2 balls and a strike. Pollock having to go down and block that one, keeping Derek DeYoung at third base. Again, you got to remember, that is a pitcher running over there at third base, so not as fast as a normal guy. So Pollock might have a little bit more time behind the plate. Davis has his sign, the 2-1. That one's just low for a ball, and now Davis falling behind, 3 balls and a strike. 3-1 the count. Davis has to hit the strike zone here. That tying run standing at third. Wild Things lead 2-1. Davis looking in. Has his sign. He's set. And the 3-1. Called strike 2 on the outside corner. That fills the count. Count now 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 men out here in the top of the ninth. 2-1 Wild Things lead. Davis trying to get out of this inning. Trying to pick up his 6th save of the year. Base is full. Davis set. The 3-2. Swing and a miss. Davis strikes him out. He gets his 6th save of the year, and you can't put it in the books. Your Wild Things win 2-1. Dynamite Davis gets it done. Wild Things pick up their 40th win of the year. 2-1 Wild Things. Winning pitcher Brandon Bixler. He's 1-0. The loser in this game is Seth Webster. He falls to, on the season, Webster is now 7-8. The save to Davis, his 6th save of the year. We'll be right back with more coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Wild Things postgame show coming up here on the MSA Sports Network.
PA Leadership Charter School is a proud sponsor of the Washington Wild Things. PALCS is a tuition-free online public school for K-12 students. PALCS can help your child hit a home run in their education through flexibility, student-to-teacher interaction, and socialization opportunities. Go to PALCS.org for more information. Go Wild Things!
PA Leadership Charter School. Lead, don't follow.
We're back here on the MSA Sports Network's coverage of Washington Wild Things baseball. Final score, your Wild Things win 2-1 over the Schaumburg Boomers and even up this series, making it 1 game apiece, setting up a rubber match for tomorrow in Game 3. Winning pitcher tonight, Brandon Bixler. Bixler improves to 1-0. The loser is Seth Webster. Webster falls to 7-8 on the season. The save goes to Devin Davis, his 6th save of the season. Scoring recap in this one for you. The Wild Things got off to the lead early on, as in the bottom of the first, Andrew Heck lined out to start things. Chris Grayson would then fly out before Ricky Rodriguez hit his 6th home run of the year. That gave the Wild Things a 1-0 lead. Dave Popkins would then single, and Jimmy Yezzo hit into a fielder's choice to end the inning. So after 1, it was 1-0 Wild Things here in this ball game. The Schaumburg Boomers would be next on the board as they tied the game in the top of the 4th. Argeni Saldazaro singled to start things, then Kenny Towns would walk, putting runners at first and second with nobody out before Mark Nelson struck out and Mike McClellan came through with an RBI single. Alderazzo came around to score, and that tied the game at 1 for McClellan. That was his 6th RBI of the season. Michael Hill would then ground out, and James Keller popped out to end the inning. Wild Things took the lead in the bottom half of the 5th. Andrew Heck flew out to start things, then Chris Grayson hit a solo home run, just clearing the right field wall. His 3rd home run of the year. That gave the Wild Things a 2-1 lead. Ricky Rodriguez would then single, and Dave Popkins popped out to end the inning. Your starting pitcher tonight for the Wild Things, Christian Powell, goes 4 innings in this one, just gave up the 1 run. It was earned on 3 hits, walked 2, and struck out 1. Took him 56 pitches to get through those 4 innings. But the story of this night was Brandon Bixler. Bixler making his Wild Things debut, went 3 1/3 innings in this one, not giving up a run, got a 1-2-3 inning in the 5th and 7th in this ball game, gave up his 2 hits in inning number 6. He was great on the day. Pitched into the top of the 8th inning. Jordan Dean flew out. Argeni Saldazaro would then single, and that would be it. Colin Stanley came on in relief, got to strike him out, throw him out, double play to end the inning. Then things got interesting in the top of the 9th. Andrew Wick came in looking for his 5th save of the season. Mark Nelson walked to lead things off. Nelson would then be pinch ran for by Derek DeYoung. So there was a runner at first, nobody out. Mike McClellan would then fly out on a nice running catch by Chris Grayson. There was 1 out and a runner at first. Then Michael Hill would reach on a 2-base error. That put runners at second and third with 1 out before Paul Kroenfeld walked to load the bases. So the bases were loaded with 1 out, and Devin Davis came into the ball game. First man he faced, Nick Oberg, went to a full count. Oberg was called out on strikes. Then Tobias Moreno came to the plate. His count went to 3-2, and Davis got the swing and a miss to end the game. The Wild Things picked up their 40th win of the season as they now improve to 40-41 on the year. The totals in this ball game for the victorious Washington Wild Things, they improved to 40-41. Their winning pitcher was Brandon Bixler. Bixler came on in relief, went 3 1/3, did not give up a run on 3 hits, walked nobody, and struck out 3 on the night. They scored 2 runs on 6 hits and committed 1 error in the ball game. For the Schaumburg Boomers, they fall to 37-46. Their losing pitcher was the starter Seth Webster. Webster went 5, gave up 2 runs, both earned on 6 hits, walked 2, and struck out 4. He needed 92 pitches on the day. For the Boomers, they scored 1 run on a total of 6 hits and did not commit an error in the ballgame. The save went to Devin Davis. Davis goes 2/3 of an inning, striking out both men he faced and getting the job done for the Washington Wild Things. Now with that win, the Wild Things have the opportunity to inch a little bit closer to the normal Corn Belters for that final wild card spot. Corn Belters currently hold on to that second wild card spot. And while we're talking about that, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. In the top of the 7th in Gateway, Joliet leads 9-0. In Evansville, Indiana, the Florence Freedom are handling the Otters 4-3. In O'Fallon, Missouri, the River City Rascals are defeating the Windy City Thunderbolts 8-4. And that game we're talking about, in the bottom of the 8th, in Normal, Illinois, it's Southern Illinois 4 and the Normal Corn Belters 1. So if the Corn Belters end up losing this ball game, the Wild Things will move to just 1.5 back of the Corn Belters for that final wild card spot. So that's a game that we got to be watching. It's coming down to the wire here in the last 2 weeks of the season as the Wild Things try to make a playoff push here in 2016. Your Washington Wild Things star of the day has got to be Brandon Bixler. His debut for the Wild Things goes 3 1/3, does not give up a run on 3 hits, doesn't walk anybody, and strikes out 3. He had a great day on the mound in relief of Christian Powell. So Brandon Bixler, you're our Washington Wild Things star of the day, getting the victory here tonight and leading the Wild Things to this 2-1 victory. Now, the rubber match of this 3-game series will be played tomorrow night, 5:05 first pitch. Taking the mound for your Washington Wild Things will be Matt Frodden. On the mound for the Schaumburg Boomers for tomorrow night's game will be Scott Schultz. So Frodden versus Schultz tomorrow, 5:05, as the Wild Things attempt to take 2 of 3 from the Schaumburg Boomers. Big series for the Wild Things. Big win tonight as they win. Final score 2-1. Brandon Bixler getting his first win as a Washington Wild Thing. Has to feel good for him, and a feel-good win all around for these Wild Things. We hope you enjoyed listening to Washington Wild Things baseball here on the MSA Sports Network, and we hope you come back tomorrow for Game 3 of this 3-game series at 5:05. But if you can make it out of the ballpark, come see these guys live. For tickets, go to www.washingtonwildthings.com or call the box office at 866-456-WILD. Final score tonight, Wild Things 2, Schaumburg Boomers 1. Thanks for listening, everybody, and from Consol Energy Park, I, Zach Ziegler, say have a good night.
MSA Sports. Press 1 to resume or 3 to end broadcast. Your broadcast has been ended.